Chapter 18. At this time, the door opened. Qing Zhongming waved to Xiao Chen and said to him, "Xiao Chen, get in the car." Xiao Chen opened the back door, got in the car, and sat next to Qing Menjing. This action immediately made eldest young mistress Qing frown. It was true that she sympathized with Xiao Chen, but he shouldn't push his luck. "Xiao Chen, you sit in the front." Miss Qing moved her body to the side. Although Xiao Chen was her ex-fiancé, they didn't have any intimate actions before. Xiao Chen was busy pursuing the commoner campus belle and the popular goddess Xin Jingxian. How could he have time to care about his fiancé? I'm afraid that Xiao Chen thought that I would be his sooner or later, and he didn't need to pursue me. Although Qing Menjing didn't care about Xiao Chen's pursuit, every time she thought of this scene, she was angry. "Didn't you not pursue me before? Don't try to get close to me now. Want to take advantage of me? No way. If you have the ability, go and find Kerlin and Xin Jingxian." "Okay, Menjing." Qing Zhongming frowned slightly. Now he already felt sorry for Xiao Feng and Xiao Chen. If Qing Menjing quarreled with Xiao Chen because of this small matter, he couldn't bear it. "It's okay. I'll sit in the front." Xiao Chen didn't care. He sat in the car before, and he didn't think much. He just thought that it was inconvenient to sit in the front with a pile of clothes. He put the clothes in the back seat, then got off and sat in the front passenger seat. The scene of Xiao Chen being driven out of the car by Miss Qing would probably be spread by the people who saw it. This was also the goal that Xiao Chen wanted to achieve. The more he was down, the happier some people would be. The school that Xiao Chen and Qing Menjing were going to transfer to was Songning No. 2 Senior High School, and their previous school was Songning No. 1 Senior High School. These two schools were invested by the Shen family and were jointly run in Songning City. They were the best schools. Even if Qing Zhongming transferred to another school, it was impossible for him to find a random one. Of course, the purpose of the transfer was actually very obvious. Humiliating Xiao Chen was just to let Xiao Chen change his environment. Although Xiao Chen was famous, it was only in Songning No. 1 Senior High School. There were people who heard that Xiao Chen was a playboy, but not many knew the name Chen. There were so many children from aristocratic families. Who had the time to remember their names? Generally, it was first young Master Chen, second young Master Chen, and Qin Jinpeng was second young Master Chen. It had to be said that Qing Zhongming's men were very efficient. There was no need for Qing Zhongming to show up. Before his car arrived at Songning No. 2 Senior High School, the transfer procedures had been completed, and the house had been rented. This was a villa, and the owner had gone abroad. However, villas near the school district were more difficult to sell. Even rich people rarely bought luxurious villas near the school district. They rented one and left after school. Who would want to stay here all year round? Therefore, this villa wasn't sold at the beginning, so it was rented out. Qing Zhongming wanted to find a co-tenant, and this villa just met the requirements. There was already a tenant in this house, and there were 4 empty rooms. However, Qing Zhongming's men paid the remaining rent in one go. In Qing Zhongming's view, having one tenant was enough. It would be noisy if there were more. Moreover, the most important thing was that this tenant was a female tenant, which made Qing Menjing very satisfied. If there were 2 men in the villa, she would feel even more unsafe. Qing Zhongming drove the car to the door of the villa and stopped. A girl in a black leather coat was squatting in the garden of the villa's courtyard, fiddling with something. When she saw the car stop, she raised her head and was slightly surprised. Could it be that a new tenant came? One had to know that the rent of this villa was not low. Even if it was 1/5 of the rent, it was still a very high price. With this price, one could rent a very good 2-bedroom and 1 living room nearby, so very few people would choose to share a room with others. What was wrong with a villa? No matter how luxurious it was, co-renting was not as comfortable as living alone. Many students rented houses nearby because they didn't like the noise in the dormitory. If it was a villa, it was just a big dormitory. What was the difference? Therefore, Yi Xiaoye was very puzzled. Moreover, looking at this car, it should be a Jaguar, which was relatively low-key and luxurious. Why would a person who drove such a car come to rent a house? Could it be a driver? When Yi Xiaoye was observing Qing Zhongming's car, Xiao Chen and Qing Menjing were also observing Yi Xiaoye. Yi Xiaoye's clothes were very cool. The black leather tight-fitting clothes showed off her exquisite figure, but it was hard for Xiao Chen to imagine that such a cool girl would be interested in flowers and plants. Seeing that she was holding a sprinkler in her hand, it was obvious that she was watering the flowers and plants. This made Xiao Chen feel even more amazed. This girl was really special. You are new tenants? Yi Xiaoye put down the kettle in her hand, stood up, and looked at Xiao Chen and others who got off the car. Yes, my name is Qing Menjing. Do you also live here? Miss Qing wanted to see Yi Xiaoye's character from her, but it was difficult. This girl's clothes and behavior were incompatible. Yi Xiaoye nodded and said, Yi Xiaoye, I have lived here for half a month. The room on the left upstairs is mine. You can choose the other rooms. Also, don't touch the things in the flower garden. Yi Xiaoye's voice was very cold, without any emotion. It sounded like this person was very indifferent. This feeling of being 1,000 miles away made Miss Qing a little uncomfortable. In any case, we will live together in the future. What kind of attitude is this? Don't touch the flower garden? Who cares? I am not a gardener. However, Miss Cheng's unyielding character made her say, the room doesn't matter. You came here first, so of course we won't haggle over it. However, this flower garden is a public facility. Why are you occupying it? Xiao Chen, plant some flowers and plants for me tomorrow. You can also be a gardener. Oh. Xiao Chen wiped the cold sweat on his forehead. He didn't expect Miss Qing to be a stingy person. It seemed that he would have a hard time in the future. This girl wouldn't take revenge on him for all the things he did to her in the past, would she? Yi Xiaoye was angered by Qing Menjing's words, but she couldn't say anything to refute. Miss Cheng was right. Since they were all tenants of the villa, the flower garden was naturally public. You can't occupy it yourself, right? But, how many of the people who actually rented here like to play with flowers and plants? The reason why Yi Xiaoye didn't rent an apartment but a villa was that she valued the private flower garden under the villa. There was no such private flower garden in the apartment. Chapter 19. What about me? This villa is rented to 5 people. I paid 4/5 of the rent. This parterre only has 1/5 of your space. You do as you see fit. Miss Qing said arrogantly, and then she ignored Yi Xiaoye's pretty face that had turned green. She pointed to the luggage in the car and said to Xiao Chen, take my luggage upstairs. I want to live upstairs, too. Yi Xiaoye listened to Qing Menjing's last sentence, and she was even angrier. Since you paid 4/5 of the rent, the remaining 4 guest rooms are yours. There are 2 rooms downstairs. Why do you want to live upstairs? Do you want to make life difficult for me? However, since she was a nouveau riche, Yi Xiaoye could only be angry. She snorted and continued to squat in front of the parterre to play with her flowers and plants. Of course, the area of the entire parterre was not small. Yi Xiaoye occupied less than 1/5 of the area, but she was angry. Xiao Chen, on the other hand, had the awareness of being a servant. He couldn't be bothered to explain anything to the young mistress. She had helped him transfer schools and provided him with a place to stay. This was something that Xiao Chen could only dream of. Hence, he picked up his luggage and followed the young mistress upstairs. Qing Menjing was actually not an unruly and overbearing person, but this Yi Xiaoye was irritating enough. If she talked to the miss nicely, the miss wouldn't care about her parterre. However, Yi Xiaoye's indifferent attitude made the miss very unhappy, so she naturally targeted her. Qing Zhongming sat in the car and could only smile bitterly. He originally thought that Qing Menjing would be very happy to find a villa with a female tenant. She would also have a playmate at ordinary times, but he didn't expect that they would quarrel when they just arrived at the villa. What should I do in the future? But Qing Zhongming had no choice. When he just wanted to lock the car and go upstairs, he heard Yi Xiaoya say to him, "Driver, drive the car to the garage behind the villa. This is not a parking place. Don't block my 1/5." Qing Zhongming was speechless. "I am the driver?" However, Qing Zhongming didn't care about it. He just said to Yi Xiaoya, "I don't live here. I will leave soon." "Oh." Yi Xiaoya nodded and ignored him. She continued to take care of the flowers and plants in the yard. Qing Menjing chose the room on the far right of the villa. There was an empty room in the middle, which was separated from Yi Xiaoya's room. Although Miss Qing wanted to annoy Yi Xiaoya, she didn't want to live next door to Yi Xiaoya. She was still angry. Xiao Chen put Qing Menjing's luggage in her room and was about to go downstairs to see his room. He didn't expect that he was stopped by Qing Menjing. "You, wait. What's wrong?" Xiao Chen turned around and looked at Qing Menjing. He had to admit that Qing Menjing's sweaty appearance at the moment was very attractive. Having such a fiancé was a great joy in life, but at the moment, she didn't belong to him. Xiao Chen also looked away. He didn't like women as much as he seemed on the surface. "Xiao Chen, we have to set some rules in the future." Qing Menjing felt that before living together with Xiao Chen. "Oh, no, before living together, she must make some things clear." "Oh, say it." Xiao Chen stopped. Now, Xiao Chen had to bow his head under the eaves. He lived in the house of the Mississippi. In front of the Mrs. Servant, whatever the Miss said was the law. Xiao Chen didn't care much. "You, as a servant, have no salary." The Mrs.'s first sentence was shocking. "No salary? It can't be, right?" Xiao Chen was stunned. He followed Miss Qing around just to get more money. It must be known that he didn't even have a source of living expenses. He didn't know how long the envelope of money yesterday could last. "You have to pay rent to live here, right? So, your salary can be used to pay off the debt." Miss Qing looked at Xiao Chen's stunned expression and said proudly. Qing Menjing thought, "Humph humph, didn't you ignore me in the past? Now that I'm a queen, I can do whatever I want. Do you dare to resist?" "Oh." Xiao Chen thought it was reasonable. Indeed, she provided him with a place to live and helped him transfer to another school. It was okay to exploit a little. In fact, to be honest, Xiao Chen didn't have much need for money. In the past, he spent lavishly, but that was just to disguise his image as a prodigal. What else? Xiao Chen's attitude made Miss Qing very unhappy. "Why aren't you angry? Why aren't you angry? If you are angry, then I can vent my anger." However, Xiao Chen's indifferent attitude made Miss Qing feel like she was punching cotton. "Your tuition fee and food expenses will be calculated separately. These money will be recorded in your account for the time being. I will reward you with some tips regularly. You can use the tips to pay off the debt." Qing Menjing was angry, so she directly deprived Xiao Chen of his food and accommodation. How can a servant have to pay for their own food? Forget about the housing, he still has to pay for his food. This is worse than being a permanent laborer in ancient times. "Oh. What else?" Xiao Chen nodded. Anyway, it was recorded in his account. As long as she didn't chase him for the debt, it didn't matter. Not for the time being. "I will talk about it when I remember." Miss Cheng was dumbfounded by Xiao Chen. She thought, has this guy's brain not figured it out yet? He doesn't have any concept of money, right? Being exploited like this, how can he not even say a word of rebuttal? "Then I will go downstairs." Xiao Chen nodded and walked downstairs. Miss Cheng looked at Xiao Chen's back as he left and clenched her teeth. The more indifferent Xiao Chen was, the angrier she was. Qing Menjing was so angry that she stomped her feet. She didn't have the mood to tidy up her clothes. She asked Qing Zhongming, who just went upstairs, "Dad, when are we going to school? Don't you need to tidy up your luggage?" "Originally, we are going tomorrow morning, but you can go today." Qing Zhongming looked at Qing Menjing, whose face was red. He was a little puzzled. "What happened to my daughter?" She seems to be angry with someone. Could it be Xiaochen? I will let Xiaochen tidy up for me when I come back. Miss Ching thought of another way to punish Xiaochen. Humph, in my luggage, there are some underwear. If you don't tidy them up, I will deduct your salary. If you tidy them up, I will say that you are a hooligan and continue to deduct your salary. Thinking of this, Miss Cheng's mood was a little better. Cheng Zhongming wanted to say that they were just going through the formalities with Xiaochen. They didn't really treat him as a servant. However, when the words came to his mouth, Cheng Zhongming swallowed them again. It seemed that his daughter and Xiaochen didn't seem to get along. If he said too much, it wouldn't be good to increase the conflict between them. Xiaochen didn't have any clothes at all. However, even if he only had a few sets, each set of clothes was expensive and high-end. Even if he transferred to another school and started over, he was no longer the former Xiaochen. It was better to be low-key. Chapter 20. In the new school, Xiaochen didn't know anyone. As long as he didn't say anything, no one would know his identity. Therefore, there was no need to disguise. Therefore, Xiaochen directly changed into the school uniform that he had never touched before. The first high school and the second high school's school uniforms were the same. When Xiaochen wore it, there wouldn't be any awkwardness. Xiaochen, Menjing said that she's going to school now. Do you want to go? Cheng Zhongming walked to Xiaochen's door and asked. Okay. Xiaochen nodded and walked out of the room. However, Xiaochen's attire at the moment made Miss Cheng's eyes widen. Did Xiaochen take the wrong medicine today? School uniform? He's actually wearing a school uniform? Miss Cheng, a well-behaved girl, wouldn't wear a school uniform when there was no activity in school. Xiaochen is actually wearing a school uniform. However, Miss Cheng was too lazy to ask. She was angry when she saw Xiaochen. She ignored him and went out of the door. She got in the car, but before she got in the car, she looked at Yi Xiaoya. This chick is actually playing with the flowers. Xiaochen took the initiative this time. He got in the car and sat in the front passenger seat. Cheng Zhongming drove the car and drove to the Songming Second High School. It seemed that the Cheng family had already informed them. Cheng Zhongming's car drove directly into the campus and stopped in front of the teaching building. As soon as Cheng Zhongming parked the car, a bald middle-aged man quickly walked over to greet him. This person was the school's dean. Of course, in the Shen family's school, a dean was also very powerful. But no matter how powerful, even the Shen family couldn't ignore Cheng Zhongming, the young master of the Cheng family, the head of the 9 aristocratic families. Welcome, Mr. Cheng. I heard that your daughter is going to transfer to our number 2 middle school. This is an affirmation of the teaching quality of our number 2 middle school. Although number 1 senior high school and number 2 senior high school were both invested by the Shen family, there was still competition between them. The school with the best results and more students would get more bonuses. Hee, Director Su, you flatter me. Cheng Zhongming got out of the car and shook hands with the bald middle-aged man. At this time, Xiaochen and Cheng Menjing also got out of the car. This is? Director Su looked at Xiaochen and asked carefully. Cheng Menjing must be Cheng Zhongming's daughter, but who was this man? This is my daughter's study partner. In fact, he's just a bodyguard and a follower. Cheng Zhongming didn't reveal Xiaochen's real identity. After all, he wanted to give Xiaochen a new start, so in Xiaochen's file, the parents' column was blank. Xiaochen was shown as an orphan. Oh, I see. Director Su nodded and didn't take it seriously. Xiaochen's identity is hidden. I don't want other students and teachers to know about it. In the school, they are just classmates. Director Su, do you understand what I mean? Cheng Zhongming said politely, but his tone was firm. Although Xiaochen was Cheng Menjing's servant, if his identity was exposed in the school, how could Xiaochen hold his head high? It was a humiliation to him. However, it didn't matter to Xiaochen now. I understand. Of course, I understand. Don't worry. I won't tell anyone about their relationship. Director Su promised quickly. Thank you so much. Our Ching family plans to donate some scholarships to number 2 middle school this year. Of course, the middleman is Director Su. Cheng Zhongming smiled. This. Thank you, Mr. Cheng. Thank you so much. I thank you on behalf of all the teachers and students in the school. Director Su was overjoyed. If he was the middleman, it was his achievement. Maybe with this achievement, he could be promoted to the vice principal. Then, his salary would be greatly improved. Thinking of this, Director Su was even more enthusiastic and polite to Cheng Zhongming. Miss Cheng, in the future, if you have any problems in the school, don't hesitate to look for me. Don't think that although I'm a director, the principal is very busy every day. I can still make decisions for many things in the school. Cheng Zhongming nodded. He was very satisfied with Director Su's attitude. After all, Cheng Menjing was different from other students. She might not be able to come to school because of her family's business. When she asked for leave, she might have to trouble Director Su. Therefore, Cheng Zhongming built a good relationship with him in advance. Well, in the future, if Menjing has any problems, let her go to Director Su. Yes, of course, there is no problem. If it's not convenient for Miss Cheng to come forward, you can ask Xiao Chen to look for me. Director Su patted his chest and said, then I will take them to class. Okay, then I will leave first. In the future, I will leave everything to Director Su. After Cheng Zhongming finished the formalities, it was time to leave. After all, he also had a lot of things to do every day. As the young master of the Cheng family, although the family's decisions were made by old Master Cheng, Cheng Zhongming was still responsible for the family's business. Miss Cheng, Xiao Chen, come with me. Director Su introduced as they walked. This time, I have arranged for you to be in the 3rd grade class, not far ahead. The three of them came to the door of the 3rd grade class, knocked on the door, and then directly pushed the door and walked in. They said to the teacher in charge of the 3rd grade class, Miss Wang, who was in class, Miss Wang, sorry to bother you, but can you make arrangements for these 2 transfer students? As soon as Xiao Chen and Cheng Menjing entered the classroom, they immediately caused a sensation. Of course, this sensation wasn't for Xiao Chen, but for Cheng Menjing. Goddess. Her appearance wasn't any worse than Goddess Tang's in the past, and her temperament and attire made her look like a lady from a wealthy family. On the other hand, although Xiao Chen wasn't bad, and could even be called a handsome guy, his attire was too simple. He was wearing a school uniform, and it was obvious that he was a Diao. Under the halo of Miss Cheng, his attire had long been overshadowed. Introduce yourselves. Miss Wang nodded to Director Su, then said to Cheng Menjing and Xiao Chen. Hello everyone, my name is Cheng Menjing, and Cheng Menjing as she walked to the front of the podium, and said in a natural and unrestrained manner. As soon as Cheng Menjing's voice fell, there was a warm applause from the audience. For such a beautiful woman to join the 3rd grade class, it was a beautiful scene in the boring life of studying. Although many boys also knew that there was a big gap between them and Goddess Cheng, it was still okay to fantasize about her in their hearts. I'm Xiao Chen. When Xiao Chen stood in front of the podium, the atmosphere became a lot colder. I'm from the village. As expected of a poor Diao. The girls in the audience all put away their disappointed gazes. Although he was good-looking, he didn't have a bright future at first glance. Xiao Chen deliberately said this to avoid other people's attention, but in fact, Xiao Chen didn't lie. The Xiao family did have a manor in the mountain village, which was the headquarters of the Xiao family. Cheng Menjing, you sit in the middle of the 8th row, the empty seat. Miss Wang began to assign seats. When Cheng Menjing introduced herself, Director Su specially emphasized the seat for Cheng Menjing. Cheng Menjing wanted to sit at her own table, but now the seats were all fixed. There were no seats in the front row, so they could only let Cheng Menjing sit at a seat that was relatively close to the back. Actually, Cheng Menjing didn't want to sit with boys, so when she transferred to another school, she deliberately asked Cheng Zhongming to tell her to choose an empty seat for herself. Okay, Miss Wang. Cheng Menjing walked towards the 8th row. This caused a guy sitting on the 7th row on the right, who was also at her table, to frown. He thought that the teacher would let Qing Menjing sit next to him according to the usual arrangement of men and women, but he didn't expect that Qing Menjing would actually sit in the 8th row, which was even further back. This boy was called Lu Zhenming, the eldest son of the Lu family of the 9th generation. The Lu family was an aristocratic family that had risen in recent years. After pushing out the original aristocratic family from the ranks of the aristocratic families at the aristocratic family meeting, they successfully rose to the top. Although they were currently ranked at the bottom, they were also the most promising stock with the potential to move forward. There was no other reason than that the Lu family started in the underworld. Originally, it was just a small fight and was only a second-rate force in Songning City. However, a few years ago, they invited a consecrator from somewhere. This consecrator was quite powerful. Not only was he strong, but he also trained many potential members of the Lu family gang into martial artists. This greatly increased the strength of the Lu family gang. In the past 2 years, the Jing family, which originally occupied 3/4 of the underworld in Songning City, was pushed back. Now, the Jing family had shrunk into an ordinary gang family in Songning City. With such a family background, Lu Zhenming was naturally tyrannical in the school and considered himself the number one in the second high school. Of course, in Songning Second High School, there were also some children of aristocratic families, but these people were not interested in dominating the school. The moment Qing Menjing entered the classroom, Lu Zhenming took a fancy to her. Although there were also beauties in the second high school, there were not many who were as stunning as Qing Menjing. Lu Zhenming did not have much of an appetite for little sluts. As for the higher grade beauties, they were either pursued by the children of other aristocratic families or the young ladies of other families who were already engaged. No matter how arrogant Lu Zhenming was, he did not dare to touch other people's women. It would be fine if they were ordinary people, but these children of aristocratic families were not weaker than Lu Zhenming's background. Which family's ranking among the aristocratic families was not higher than the Lu family? Therefore, after holding back for more than 2 years, Lu Zhenming's eyes lit up. He suddenly found his future goal in life. After class, you go and teach that Xiaoqin a lesson. When he comes to school tomorrow, make him bring 10,000 yuan as protection fee. Otherwise, every time you see him, you will beat him up. Make him unable to mingle in school after he just transferred. Lu Zhenming used his hand to poke a tall and sturdy boy who was sitting in the front row. The boy was wearing a gold chain around his neck. This boy looked like the gangster boss in the movies. However, the pretty boy Lu Zhenming was the big brother, and he was the little brother. Understood. Brother Ming, where is that chick? This tall and sturdy boy was called Ma Gangmen. He was Lu Zhenming's loyal little brother in the second high school. This is the main point that I want you to do. After you deal with that Xiaoqin, you go and tell Qing Menjing that in the class, I am the big brother. As long as I nod my head, she doesn't have to pay. In the future, I will protect her. Lu Zhenming wanted to get close to Qing Menjing, but there was no reason. So, Xiaoqin became his victim. Okay, don't worry, Brother Ming. I will do it properly for you. Ma Gangmen nodded. At the same time, after Xiaoqin finished his self-introduction, Miss Wang said to him, Xiaoqin, you sit in the 7th row on the left, next to Tang Tang. Tang Tang? Xiaoqin looked up and saw a fat girl sitting in the 7th row on the far left. This body shape, it was comparable to Zhu Yingxiong. But, Tang Tang? This name seemed familiar. Where did I hear it? Okay. Xiaoqin didn't say much. He didn't care about the beauty. He came here just to practice in peace, and then find out who was behind him. As for who his deskmate was, he really didn't care. Xiaoqin walked quickly to the fat girl Tang Tang and sat down. After sending Director Su away, Miss Wang began the lecture. However, after Xiaoqin sat down, he suddenly felt that someone was looking at him. Furthermore, there was a hint of unfriendliness in the gaze. Xiaoqian's heart trembled slightly. He had just transferred here and did not offend anyone. Right now, Xiao Chen's spiritual sense and mental energy were much stronger than an average martial artist's. He was able to lock onto the direction of that gaze in an instant. It was from the rightmost side, a burly boy with a golden chain around his neck. Chapter 21. Xiao Chen frowned slightly. He could be sure that he had never seen this person before. Could it be that he mistook her for someone else? Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen. Just as Xiao Chen was puzzled, an uncertain voice came from his side. Xiao Chen turned his head and saw that the person talking to him was the fat girl, Tang Tang. Xiao Chen was a little surprised. Tang Tang. Are you talking to me? Do you know me? I'm not sure. Looking at the school uniform you're wearing, it's different from the information. At this time, Tang Tang was sure of Xiao Chen's identity. I heard about your things, but I didn't expect you to commit suicide. Commit suicide? Xiao Chen looked at Tang Tang strangely. This fat girl seems to know me very well. Who is she? Tang Tang. This name seemed to have been heard from somewhere, but Xiao Chen couldn't remember. You are? The girl from the Tang family, the girl whose engagement was broken off. It was very sensational at the time. You should have heard of her, right? Tang Tang laughed at herself and said frankly, we are similar, both of us are in the same boat. Pfft. It's you. Xiao Chen suddenly remembered who Tang Tang was. Among the 9 aristocratic families, the beautiful girl from the Tang family, although Xiao Chen had never seen her, he had heard of her. It was said that she was a beauty at the same level as Miss Cheng. She was also the fiancée of Yu Xiaochuan, the young master of the Yu family. However, when Tang Tang was 16 years old, she had a serious illness. After recovering from the illness, she became like this. Although she was chubby and cute, it was difficult to associate her with a beauty. Therefore, the Yu family decisively asked to break off the engagement. Hee, it's me, Xiao Chen. Look at me. I'm already like this. I was abandoned, but I'm still quite happy. Aren't you still quite handsome? What's wrong with you? Why did you have to jump off the cliff? Tang Tang actually wanted to comfort Xiao Chen after hearing the news that he jumped off the cliff yesterday. In Tang Tang's opinion, Xiao Chen was as unlucky as she was. Xiao Chen couldn't help but smile bitterly and said, Tang Tang, I really didn't commit suicide. That's just a rumor, I understand. Tang Tang blinked her eyes at Xiao Chen. The young masters of aristocratic families all cared about their faces. Who would admit that he committed suicide? But now it seemed that Xiao Chen had thought it through, so Tang Tang didn't continue this topic. By the way, Qing Menjing, isn't she your fiancée? Why did I transfer here with you? Moreover, on the surface, it seems like you don't know each other. I'm now working as a manservant for Qing Menjing, a servant or something. This kind of identity, it's not good to tell others, right? Of course, Xiao Chen wouldn't tell the truth. After all, this was the first day he met Tang Tang. Although this fat chick looked very kind, she was too gossipy. If it was spread out, he would die miserably. Working as a manservant for Qing Menjing? The Qing family wants to humiliate you? Tang Tang frowned after listening. She couldn't help but feel a little indignant. Why? I'm just taking what I need. Transferring schools can be considered a new beginning. At the very least, not many people here know me, Xiao Chen said with a shrug. That's true. Tang Tang nodded. Xiao Chen, I'm the class monitor of the 3rd grade class. I'll protect you in the future. Don't let Qing Menjing bully you. Thank you very much. Xiao Chen smiled. He didn't expect to meet a tomboy like Tang Tang on his first day at school. However, it was precisely because of Tang Tang's appearance at the moment that Xiao Chen had no scruples. Otherwise, if she was really a beauty, Xiao Chen was afraid that he wouldn't be able to let go of her. The class passed quickly. As soon as Miss Wang left, Ma Gangmen, who wore a gold chain around his neck, walked to Xiao Chen with a skinny monkey who looked like a heavy smoker. Kid, do you know why I'm looking for you? Ma Gangmen stood in front of Xiao Chen like a hill. He looked very arrogant. He held a toothpick in his mouth and asked Xiaochen. I don't know. Xiaochen really didn't know. If you have something to say, just say it. D*mn, you don't know, and you're still so arrogant? You're so arrogant. Ma Gangmen slammed the table so hard that Xiaochen's table shook a few times on the ground before it stopped. Ma Gangmen pointed at Xiaochen and said, Kid, do you know that a newcomer should come to me, Grandpa Ma, to pay respect to you? Pay respect to you? Xiaochen looked at Ma Gangmen in amusement. From the way Ma Gangmen slammed the table just now, Xiaochen could tell that Ma Gangmen was just a little stronger than ordinary people and was not a warrior. Yes. Ma Gangmen said proudly. I didn't see a horse head, but there is a Ma Si. Xiaochen looked at Ma Gangmen and said faintly. Ma Si? Who is Ma Si? Ma Gangmen was stunned and somewhat inexplicable. Brother Gangmen, that. Ma Si means horses but. This kid scolded you. The skinny monkey, the heavy smoker, seemed to be a little cultured and knew the meaning of Si. D*mn, little bastard, you dare to scold me? Ma Gangmen came back to his senses and was about to grab Xiaochen's hair. Let me tell you, Grandpa Ma is called Ma Gangmen, not Ma Si. Xiaochen dodged it quietly. With Xiaochen's current strength of the first level of the refinement realm, it was easy for him to dodge the attack of an ordinary person like Ma Gangmen. Oh, a horse's anus. Isn't that a bootlicker? It's not even as good as a Ma Si. After listening, Xiaochen laughed sarcastically. D*mn, little bastard, you're looking for death. What Ma Gangmen hated the most was people using his name to talk about things. Ma Gangmen meant a very hard door, indicating that he, Ma Gangmen, was guarding in front of Lu Zhenming like a security door. However, Xiaochen actually said that he was a bootlicker. Ma Gangmen, what are you doing? Tang Tang went out to the bathroom. When she came back, she saw Ma Gangmen yelling at Xiaochen. She suddenly became a little anxious. In her opinion, although Xiaochen was not the young master of the Xiao family, his temper was still there. With Ma Gangmen's attitude, wouldn't they fight? At that time, Xiaochen would definitely be at a disadvantage. Who didn't know that the young master of the Xiao family was a good-for-nothing who couldn't practice internal strength? Tang Tang, you'd better mind Brother Ming's business. When Ma Gangmen saw Tang Tang coming over, his face changed slightly. He was still a little afraid of Tang Tang. After all, Tang Tang was the class monitor and a member of the Tang family. Although Tang Tang basically had no status in the Tang family now, a starving camel was still bigger than a horse. Who knew if the Yu family would change their mind and marry Tang Tang in the future? After all, Yu Xiaochuan's Yu family was also very powerful. That's up to you, Ma Gangmen. Remember, this is a classroom. Tang Tang said with a cold face. Ma Gangmen looked at Xiaochen and said sinisterly, all right, I'll give you face. I won't touch this brat today. However, brat, listen up. Tomorrow morning, bring me $10,000 as protection fee. Otherwise, hee. Ma Gangmen looked at Xiaochen and said sinisterly. No. Xiaochen did not give him any face and said directly. Ma Gangmen was stunned. Originally, in his opinion, Xiaochen should be afraid or begging for mercy. Even if that was not the case, he should at least ask why he had to pay 10,000 yuan of protection fee. But Xiaochen directly said no, which meant that he didn't put Ma Gangmen in his eyes. You're very good. You wait for me. Ma Gangmen heard the bell ringing, and Tang Tang was on the side. It was not good for him to fight in the classroom. But in his heart, he had already sentenced Xiaochen to death. If he didn't beat this kid into a transformer today, he would not be Ma Gangmen. After saying the harsh words, Ma Gangmen went back with the thin monkey-like guy. This scene was seen clearly by Lu Zhenming not far away. Lu Zhenming was so angry that his teeth itched. In his opinion, a transfer student was so arrogant. Was it because he was used to living in the mountains that he didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth when he came out? Brother Ming, I'm sorry. I didn't do it well. Ma Gangmen returned to his seat and said to Lu Zhenming with a bitter face. It's not your fault. That kid doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth, and he has Tang Tang to help him. Lu Zhenming shook his head and said very unhappily, it's just that the plan to get close to Qing Menjing is not going to work for the time being. Brother Ming, then what should we do next? Ma Gangmen asked quickly. During the lunch break, when Tang Tang is not here, let's teach this kid a lesson. It's better to do it in front of Qing Menjing and let her know how to be afraid. Although Lu Zhenming was a child of an aristocratic family, the Lu family started late and was not familiar with the children of other aristocratic families. Lu Zhenming knew about the children of aristocratic families in Songming Second High School, but he had no idea about those who transferred to another school like Shaochen and Qing Menjing. Okay. Ma Gangmen nodded and said, when the time comes, let's go to the men's room to teach him a lesson. Let's see if Tang Tang can still go in. Going to the men's room to beat people was also Ma Gangmen's usual method. After all, Tang Tang, the class monitor, was often a busybody. In order to avoid her, Ma Gangmen took people to the men's room, so Tang Tang could only watch helplessly. F***CK. Lu Zhenming glared at Ma Gangmen and said, are you stupid? If he goes to the men's room, Qing Menjing can't go in. How can he frighten her? That's true. Brother Ming is wise. Ma Gangmen was stunned and said, I was so angry with that country bumpkin. This afternoon, I must let him know how powerful Master Ma is. Qing Menjing naturally saw the scene where Ma Gangmen was going to teach Shaochen a lesson. She didn't know why, when someone went to teach Shaochen a lesson, it was reasonable to say that it was for her, but Qing Menjing was a little uncomfortable. Moreover, when Tang Tang stood up for Shaochen, Qing Menjing was even more uncomfortable. Even Miss Qing herself did not understand what kind of mentality she had. Shaochen, Ma Gangmen is nothing to be afraid of, but behind him is the young master Lu Zhenming of the Lu family. After Tang Tang waited for Ma Gangmen to leave, she lowered her voice and said to Shaochen, of course, if it was the old Shaochen, you don't have to be afraid of him, but now, people have to bow down under the eaves. It had to be said that Tang Tang was a very kind-hearted little girl who liked to gossip. Shaochen was a little dumbfounded after listening to her words, but he thought that it was because he was famous in the past, and he was not willing to suffer losses, so Tang Tang persuaded him. Chapter 22. I know. Shaochen nodded and said, don't worry. As long as he doesn't make trouble for me, I won't provoke him. Besides, I don't want to make trouble here. It's good that you understand. Don't worry. I will keep an eye on them and make them behave. Tang Tang waved her fist, looking like a big sister. In the blink of an eye, it was lunchtime. Miss Tang left the classroom and went to the canteen for lunch. Lu Zhenming looked at the back of Qing Menjing as she left, and a look of desire flashed in his eyes. However, Lu Zhenming was not an idiot. Miss Cheng's clothes were very good, so she should have a good background. This was the reason why he chose the roundabout route. Shaochen was about to stand up and get something to eat, but he was pulled by Tang Tang from behind. Hey, what are you going to do? Shaochen was stunned and found that Tang Tang, the tough girl, was pulling Shaochen's belt. He suddenly felt a little embarrassed. I say, Tang Tang, don't pull my pants down. Men and women shouldn't touch each other. Humph. Who cares? Tang Tang didn't care and said casually, let me tell you, I'm a tough girl. I don't like men. Ahem. Okay. Shaochen was shocked. Brother Tang, why are you looking for me? I'm asking you, where are you going? Are you going to eat? Tang Tang didn't care that Shaochen called her Brother Tang at all. Yes. Shaochen nodded. Is there anything to eat around here? Okay, don't go out. Eat with me. Tang Tang took out a few steamed buns and a jar of pickles from her school bag and put them in front of Shaochen. I'll eat a little. The rest is enough for you. Look at your thin body, you can't eat too much. Xiao Chen was stunned. He pointed to the steamed buns and pickles on the table and asked, "Are you eating this for lunch?" "Yeah, what else can we eat?" Tang Tang glared at Xiao Chen and said, "Don't pretend. Don't tell me that you still have money to spend now. Even if you work for Qing Menjiang, she won't give you a little money. Looking at your clothes, I know you are as poor as me." "You? Poor?" Xiao Chen was taken aback. "Even if your engagement was broken off, you weren't kicked out of the Tang family, right? You don't need to eat this, do you? It's not like you don't know about these big families. Benefits come first. I'm a girl, and my family used me for marriage alliances. My father and mother died early. It's not much different from you. Your father and mother are missing. Grandpa doesn't love me, and uncle doesn't love me. Now that I've lost the value of a marriage alliance, I'm still a rice worm at home. It would be strange if they would treat me well. I've moved out, and I'm self-reliant. I won't be angry at them." Tang Tang patted Xiao Chen's shoulder and said, "Okay, eat it. It's delicious. You'll be fine after you get used to it." "Okay." Xiao Chen had never eaten this thing, but he was really not picky. He could endure it for so many years. This willpower was not ordinary. However, Xiao Chen found today that Tang Tang was also strong. Her heart was too strong. She wasn't a tomboy anymore. She was a real man. Xiao Chen was really hungry. He didn't eat breakfast and wanted to save some money. He didn't expect Tang Tang's steamed buns to be so delicious. Not that steamed bun, don't get me wrong. Tang Tang only ate one steamed bun, and the remaining 4 steamed buns were all gobbled up by Xiao Chen. Tang Tang looked at Xiao Chen eating happily and couldn't help but smile. "Xiao Chen, I didn't expect you to be able to endure hardships. You're eating so happily." I'm sorry. I was too engrossed in eating, and I ate all your steamed buns." Xiao Chen found that all 4 steamed buns were eaten by him. Didn't Tang Tang only eat one? "Oh, it's okay. I'm on a diet." Tang Tang smiled indifferently. "Tomorrow's lunch, I'll treat you." Xiao Chen was a little embarrassed. "No, I have money. No matter how down and out I am, I'm still better than you. When you recover, it's not too late to treat me." Tang Tang was really not full. These 5 steamed buns were her lunch and dinner. Each meal required 2.5 steamed buns to be full. She wanted to give half to Xiao Chen, but who would have thought that Xiao Chen directly ate 4? Then. Okay. Xiao Chen was not pretentious. Although he had a little money now, he couldn't just sit around and eat. "I'm going out for a walk. Don't walk around in the classroom. I'll be back soon." Tang Tang was not full, and she was going to go out to buy 2 steamed buns or rolls to eat. Xiao Chen waited for Tang Tang to leave, and quickly stuffed half of the steamed bun in the food bag into his mouth. He was not full either. Although Xiao Chen was a bamboo pole, his appetite was not small. This was directly related to the exercise every night for many years. Xiao Chen had been consuming physical strength, so he ate a lot. Although he did not exercise last night, because he did not eat breakfast, for steamed buns were still not enough to fill his stomach. However, since there was nothing left, it was fine. He wouldn't starve to death even if he ate a little less. During the rest of the lunch break, Xiao Chen closed his eyes and began to cultivate the heaven's stolen fortune battle art. Cultivation was different from martial arts. Cultivators could sit still and others wouldn't be able to tell what they were doing. It was as if they were resting with their eyes closed, and no one would be suspicious. As the mantra ran, Xiao Chen's whole body's primordial qi circulated back and forth in his meridians, and bursts of comfortable warmth spread throughout his body. "Hey! How can your cultivation speed be so fast?" Elder Heaven Ancestor felt that Xiao Chen's cultivation speed was a little different in Xiao Chen's body. "Maybe I am a genius," Xiao Chen said. "TSK, this old man was a genius when he was young, but I don't see how you are a genius. You can practice the heavens fortune battle art in reverse. You are really a genius. Elder Heaven Ancestor said disdainfully. Maybe it's because I practiced it in reverse? Xiao Chen asked. I don't know, but your cultivation speed is a bit abnormal. Elder Sky said, let me observe a bit more. Logically speaking, the heaven and earth spiritual qi in the city is very scarce, so your cultivation speed should be very slow. If you were to say that you have been holding back for a few years, then it would make sense that you suddenly broke through to the first level of the qi refinement realm. But now, you are about to break through to the second level of the qi refinement realm. The second level? Xiao Chen was shocked. Although it seemed to be a good thing on the surface, Xiao Chen also knew that haste makes waste. There must be a reason why his cultivation speed was too fast. But for the time being, I don't see anything wrong. You can continue. Elder Heaven Ancestor said to Xiao Chen. Elder Heaven Ancestor's words made Xiao Chen feel a little relieved. Although Xiao Chen longed for strength, he was a little afraid of strength coming too fast. The second level of inner force was a level that many martial artists could reach after several years of cultivation. Xiao Chen, right? Brother Ming and Brother Gangmen want you to go to the school cafeteria. Xiao Chen was cultivating when the skinny monkey who was with Ma Gangmen came over and said to Xiao Chen. To the cafeteria? Xiao Chen opened his eyes and felt a little strange. Logically speaking, if he wanted to teach someone a lesson, shouldn't he go to the men's toilet or the roof of the teaching building? Why did he go to the cafeteria? That kind of place would easily attract the dean's attention. Ma Qiu won't treat me to a meal, right? Yes, it's to treat you to a meal. But that's Brother Gangmen, not Ma Qiu. The skinny monkey frowned and said. Oh, since you want to treat me to a meal, then lead the way. Xiao Chen knew that if this matter wasn't resolved, Ma Gangmen and Lu Zhenming would probably think of other ways to disturb him. However, Xiao Chen didn't think that he had offended this person at all, so no matter what, he would go and take a look first. If it was a blessing, it wouldn't be a disaster. If it was a disaster, it couldn't be avoided. Xiao Chen was now a qi refinement stage cultivator, which was equivalent to the first level of inner force, so he wasn't afraid. Moreover, when he, Xiao Chen, was in number 1 high school, who was afraid of? So straightforward? The skinny monkey was slightly stunned. He originally thought that he would have to waste his breath with Xiao Chen, but he didn't expect that Xiao Chen would directly agree. It seemed that this kid was really a fool. Did he believe him just because he invited him to a meal? Xiao Chen followed the skinny monkey out of the classroom and walked to the cafeteria. The cafeteria of number 2 high school was very big, similar to the cafeteria of number 1 high school. It was divided into the first, second, and third floors. The first floor was the most common type of public cafeteria, which was similar to a fast food restaurant. There was a circle of windows around selling all kinds of dishes, and in the middle were rows of tables and chairs, suitable for ordinary students to eat fast food here. The second floor was where you could order. Like other restaurants, there was a menu here, and you could order according to your preferences. This was a place that rich students liked. Of course, some school teachers would occasionally eat here, but some students whose families weren't very rich would also come here for birthday parties. The taste of the dishes on the second floor was obviously not on the same level as that on the first floor. The chefs here were specially hired from the hotel, and some special dishes were directly cooked by the hotel nearby, and then sent here. The third floor was a private room, which needed to be reserved. Each private room had a minimum consumption. Generally, students who were not very rich would not go to the private room, but the school teachers often went to the private room on the third floor in groups of 3 or 5. After all, the salary of the teachers in number 2 high school was very high, and the teachers had the dignity of teachers. It was not good for them to eat with students, so it would be very embarrassing if the jokes between teachers were heard by students. Of course, the children of aristocratic families like Lu Zhenming who didn't care about money were regular guests of the private room on the third floor. But today, Qing Menjing ordered in a corner on the second floor. In order to show off in front of Qing Menjing, Lu Zhenming found a table on the second floor and waited for Xiao Qin. Brother Ming, do you think the skinny monkey can find Xiao Qin? What if he doesn't come? I'm afraid that bitch Tang Tang will stop him. Ma Gangmen said. Who knows? Let's wait and see. There will be plenty of opportunities, and we don't have to rush. The more Lu Zhenming looked at Qing Menjing, the more he felt that Qing Menjing was not simple. Even when eating, she was very elegant. Although she was eating alone, she didn't look lonely. Therefore, the more she was like this, the more Lu Zhenming dared not to force Qing Menjing. He could only find a way to get close to her. By the way, have you investigated Qing Menjing's background? Chapter 23. The Lu family also had familiar teachers in the school. Otherwise, Lu Zhenming would have been expelled for being so arrogant and domineering in the school. It was not easy to transfer Qing Menjing's file, but it was also feasible to find a way. I have already found Mr. Lei of the sports team. He said he would help. Ma Jingang said. Mr. Lei of the sports team of the school used to be a boxing member. After retiring, he came to teach in the No. 2 high school of Songning City. Of course, this was his superficial identity. His secret identity was actually a member of a gang. He was the hatchet man of Lu Zhenming's father, Lu Siwen. He was also a disciple of the Lu family gang. He often helped Lu Zhenming to play underground boxing. This was a man that Lu Siwen placed in the school for Lu Zhenming. Maybe one day when Lu Zhenming graduated, Lei Dianfeng would resign. Okay. Lu Zhenming nodded. Lei Dianfeng's identity was hidden. It could not be exposed unless it was a last resort. Lei Dianfeng could help Lu Zhenming secretly in the school. Not long after, Lu Zhenming saw the thin monkey-like man coming upstairs with Xiao Qin. He was slightly relieved. It seemed that the thin monkey-like man was quite efficient. However, then Lu Zhenming was a little unhappy. Because Xiao Qin came over under the guidance of the thin monkey-like man and sat opposite him. Damn it, did this kid really think that he was here for a banquet? But just you wait for a while to cry. Before, Lu Zhenming had sent the thin monkey-like man to watch Xiao Qin carefully. This kid was not just poor, but very poor. Because this guy could not even afford to buy lunch. But he still ate Tang Tang steamed buns and pickled vegetables with relish, as if he had not eaten for several days. How poor was he? Therefore, when Ma Gangmen asked him for 10,000 yuan, he directly said that he didn't have it. This was understandable, because this kid really didn't have it. Even if you beat him to death, he wouldn't have it. Lu Zhenming didn't expect Xiao Qin to be penniless. He went to find trouble with Xiao Qin with the normal thought of teaching other students a lesson, but he didn't expect to meet such a poor guy. Therefore, Lu Zhenming changed his strategy. You don't have money, right? Then I'll treat you to a meal. However, I'm the one treating and you're the one paying. If you don't have money to pay the bill, I'll pay for you. But if I pay for you, I'll definitely feel wronged and want to beat you up. When I beat you up, I'll accidentally knock over Qing Menjing's table. Won't I have a chance to talk to Miss Qing then? This plan seemed to be full of loopholes, but that was only for the people involved. Outsiders didn't know. In the eyes of outsiders, you treat me to a meal, but you want me to pay for it myself? Even if I don't beat you up, it would be unreasonable. You're playing with me. Therefore, Lu Zhenming didn't care whether there were loopholes or not. As long as it was reasonable in the eyes of outsiders, it was fine. Xiao Qin, before, I'm sorry. My subordinate, Ma Gangmen, misunderstood my meaning and almost beat you up. So I'll treat you to a meal at noon to resolve the grudge. Lu Zhenming said to Xiao Qin politely. Xiao Qin's eyes slightly narrowed. He thought, did Lu Zhenming take the wrong medicine? Treat me to a meal? Xiao Qin still didn't understand Lu Zhenming's purpose. He really wanted to see what he wanted to do. So he said calmly, oh, treat me to a meal? Why didn't you say so earlier? I thought you were going to beat me up. A meal? That's great. It just so happens that I haven't eaten enough just now. Thank you. Xiao Chen was now an expert at the first level of the refinement stage. He was already a high-end cultivator. As long as there weren't too many accidents, he could deal with whatever came his way. I've already ordered the dishes. Xiao Chen, can you see if there's anything else you want to add? Lu Zhenming asked. Although these dishes are good, there's no seafood. I came from the mountains and have never eaten seafood before. Can I order some? Xiao Chen looked at the menu and asked expectantly. Okay, you order. Lu Zhenming had to go all the way if he wanted to put on an act. At the very least, he couldn't let Xiao Chen see any flaws in his act at the beginning. If Xiao Chen stopped eating and walked away, how would he have a reason to beat him up? Although Lu Zhenming didn't need an excuse to beat someone up, if he beat someone up to Qing Menjing for no reason, Qing Menjing would definitely be suspicious, right? That. Do you have single-headed abalone? Xiao Chen turned his head and asked the waiter. No, only the double-headed abalone. The waiter sweated a bit. In order to satisfy the children of the aristocratic families, the cafeteria of the second high school was a joint venture with a nearby hotel. However, there was no single-headed abalone. It was the best of the best. Even in the place of origin, one might not be able to see it more than a few times. Okay, give me 10 double-headed abalone to try. Xiao Chen nodded. And a 5-pound Australian lobster. Okay, student, what else do you need? The waiter knew Lu Zhenming, so he didn't have any doubts about Xiao Chen's order. After all, Lu Zhenming was also one of the children of the aristocratic families. After listening to Xiao Chen's words, Lu Zhenming's mouth suddenly twitched twice. Although he would ask Xiao Chen to pay for this meal, he was still the one who would pay in the end. How could Xiao Chen, a poor man, have the money to pay the bill? So, in the beginning, although Lu Zhenming ordered a table of dishes, there wasn't much value in it. The total was only 2,000 to 3,000 yuan. However, Xiao Chen's few dishes cost hundreds of thousands of yuan. A double-headed abalone was 10,000 yuan, and this was still the cheapest price in school. If it were to go to a nearby hotel, it would at least be 20,000 yuan. 10 of them would be 100,000 yuan, and this didn't include the lobster money. It was true that Lu Zhenming was young Master Lu, but because of the Lu family's involvement in the underworld, although his strength had gone up, his economic strength was still worse than other aristocratic families. Therefore, Lu Zhenming's monthly pocket money was only 100,000 yuan. This Motherf asterisk Kerr spent it all at once. However, Lu Zhenming couldn't stop it. If he stopped it now, wouldn't outsiders think that he was treating instead of Xiao Chen? Therefore, Lu Zhenming could only pretend that nothing had happened and said gratefully, "We will eat whatever you order, Xiao Chen, order, order. The more expensive you order, the more money I spend, and the more ruthless I will beat you up. This is more reasonable." In order to get close to Miss Cheng, Lu Zhenming gritted his teeth and endured. Xiao Chen ordered randomly, and then the waiter saw that Lu Zhenming didn't say anything and went to serve the dishes. Not far away, Qing Menjing naturally saw the scene of Xiao Chen coming to the cafeteria. She couldn't help but frown secretly. What is Xiao Chen doing here? Why is he mingling with Lu Zhenming, Ma Gangmen, and the others? Didn't they have conflicts before? Thinking of this, Miss Cheng wasn't in a hurry to finish eating and leave. She wanted to see what Xiao Chen was going to do. After all, she brought Xiao Chen over. If something happened, she wouldn't be able to explain it to her father. Troublesome Xiao Chen, I originally wanted to go back to the classroom to have a beauty sleep, but you disturbed me. However, I will remember this account one by one. When the time comes, I will teach you a lesson. Looking at the plates of delicacies placed on Xiao Chen's table, the surrounding students were very envious. That was lobster and abalone. Although they had seen it on the menu, how many people had actually ordered it? Even if they had ordered it, they would go to the private room upstairs to eat. It was the first time that they saw people eating in the cafeteria on the second floor like Xiao Chen. Of course, envy was envy. Many people who ate here also knew that their family conditions were more than moderately well off, but not very rich. In the cafeteria on the second floor, one or two ordinary dishes were about 180 yuan. They could afford it, but if it was more, only those nouveau riche students could afford it. Wow, this is the legendary top-notch double-headed abalone. It smells quite delicious, and it looks even more delicate and beautiful. Then I won't be polite. Xiao Chen's voice was quite loud, and even Miss Cheng, who was not far away, heard it. However, no one would despise Xiao Chen. After all, what Xiao Chen said was the truth. Among the people sitting on the second floor, there were some slightly wealthy people, but there were really not many people who had eaten double-headed abalone and such a big Australian lobster. Not only did they not despise him, but they were also very envious. Of course, in the eyes of Lu Junming, Xiao Chen's behavior was despise. He coldly snorted in his heart and called him a country bumpkin, but he said, "Then let's eat." Yeah, Lu Junming, you guys should also try this double-headed abalone and lobster. You guys haven't eaten it before, right? Then you have to eat more. Xiao Chen's voice was still very loud, and Miss Cheng heard it clearly. Lu Junming was just about to pick up the chopsticks to pick up a piece of abalone, but after hearing Xiao Chen's words, his expression suddenly became sluggish, and his expression became a little unnatural. You eat it. We eat it often, and we don't want to eat it anymore. If Xiao Chen didn't make such a fuss, of course, Lu Junming would hurry up and eat. Although he was rich, this level of abalone and lobster wasn't often eaten. Originally, he wanted to fight with Xiao Chen to eat a few more, but now, if he fought with Xiao Chen, wouldn't he also become a country bumpkin? Of course, if Qing Menjing wasn't watching from behind, then Lu Junming didn't care, but now was the time for him to show off. If in Qing Menjing's heart, he was the same as Xiao Chen as a country bumpkin, then there was no need to pursue her. He would die before he could succeed. Therefore, Lu Junming said goodbye to the lobster and abalone in his heart while crying. Really? That's great. Then I won't be polite. If I can't eat it, I will take it away. Thank you, classmate Lu. Xiao Chen was overjoyed. He pulled the lobster and abalone plates in front of him. Ma Gangmen and the thin monkey-like man suddenly looked at each other. Originally, they wanted to eat a few bites to satisfy their cravings, but now, the plates were taken away by Xiao Chen. They couldn't help but turn their heads to look at Lu Junming pitifully. How could Lu Junming not know the meaning of these two underlings? However, the big words had already been said. He couldn't just slap his own face, right? So, he could only pretend that he didn't know and said, "This abalone and lobster, you two must be tired of eating it with me, right? Let's eat something light. This bamboo shoot is good." Chapter 24. Ma Gangmen and Skinny Monkey could only helplessly follow Lu Junming and eat the bamboo shoots. Qing Menjing's mouth flashed a trace of a smile. How could she not see that Xiao Chen wanted to eat alone? Xiao Chen, what had he not eaten before? Did he have to be so excited to see abalone and lobster? It was obvious that he wanted to cheat Lu Junming. Lu Junming also saw Miss Cheng smile. He thought that Miss Cheng was looking at him. After all, what was so good about a bumpkin like Xiao Chen? In Lu Junming's view, it must be his words, "often eat abalone and lobster," that attracted Miss Cheng's attention. These days, who didn't like tall, rich, and handsome men? Especially tall, rich, and handsome men who knew how to act cool. However, what made Lu Junming feel strange was that after Xiao Chen ate an abalone, he stopped eating seafood and began to attack the other dishes on the table. In the blink of an eye, the dishes on the table were all eaten by Xiao Chen. Lu Junming didn't even eat a few mouthfuls before the food was gone. Pig. What AF * king pig? Lu Junming cursed in his heart. He raised his chopsticks, but he didn't know where to put them. He wanted to pick a piece of abalone in front of Xiao Chen, but he didn't have the face to do so. He could only put down his chopsticks and pick up the plate, preparing to fill a bowl of soy sauce fried rice on the table and eat some of the main course. Usually, when eating a meal, the main course would be eaten first. Lu Junming also had this habit, but there was nothing else to eat today. However, just as he picked up the plate, the bowl of soy sauce fried rice was directly taken away by Xiaochen. Then, Xiaochen opened the bowl. In just 3 to 5 minutes, the bowl of soy sauce fried rice was finished. Lu Zhenming's hand trembled as he held the plate. He suppressed the anger in his heart and put the plate on the table. Ma Jingang and the thin monkey-like man looked at each other. This Xiaochen could eat too much, right? Skinny Monkey had seen Xiaochen eat 4 steamed buns and a pile of steamed buns. Is this kid the reincarnation of a hungry ghost? It's really delicious. Are you guys full? Xiaochen burped and asked comfortably. Xiaochen discovered that after he became a cultivator, he could eat even more than before. Could it be that becoming a cultivator consumes more physical strength? I'm full. I ate very well. Lu Zhenming had a stomach full of anger, but he had no way to vent it. After all, Qing Menjing was watching him. If he didn't eat his fill, wouldn't he lose face? Moreover, he wanted the outsiders to think that it was Xiaochen's treat. Since it was Xiaochen's treat, then the host would ask if the guest had eaten well. The guest would definitely say that he had eaten well. Oh, that's fine. I'll pack the rest. Xiaochen pointed to the 2 plates of seafood in front of him and said, "Waiter, give me a few lunch boxes. I want to pack." Okay, student. The waiter nodded and went to get the lunch boxes. Eat. Let's see how you pay the bill later. Lu Zhenming clenched his teeth and patiently watched Xiaochen pack. When Xiaochen finally finished packing and put the lunch boxes into a plastic bag, Lu Zhenming said to Xiaochen, "Today, thank you for treating us. We'll go first." After listening to Lu Zhenming's words, Xiaochen's eyes narrowed slightly. At this point, he finally understood Lu Zhenming's intention. Lu Zhenming wanted to cheat him after the meal and make him pay for the meal. During the meal, Lu Zhenming's eyes kept drifting in the direction of Miss Cheng. With Xiaochen's powerful divine sense spiritual power, he could easily discover this. Therefore, Xiaochen could be sure that Lu Zhenming had taken a fancy to Qing Menjing, so he deliberately said some harsh words during the meal to make Lu Zhenming helpless. This also confirmed that Lu Zhenming didn't want to lose face in front of Qing Menjing. However, Lu Zhenming wanted to pursue Qing Menjing. What does it have to do with me? Could it be that he knows that I'm Qing Menjing's former fiancé? But if he knew, I'm afraid he wouldn't speak like this. It seems that he still thinks that I'm from the mountains. Or, does he think that I'm a newcomer who can be bullied? Is there a sense of accomplishment in bullying me in front of Qing Menjing? Xiaochen knew that when some prodigal young masters picked up girls, they liked to show off in front of them to gain their worship. However, there was no sense of accomplishment for Lu Zhenming to bully a newcomer, right? As for letting Xiaochen pay the bill, Xiaochen didn't care. Although the Lu family was powerful, it was still a lot worse than the Chao family and the Qin family. It was just a newly emerged underworld family. Xiaochen was now a cultivator. As long as his strength reached a certain level, what was there for him to be afraid of? The reason why the Lu family could be promoted to an aristocratic family was not because of their consecrator, a high-level martial artist. It was impossible for Xiaochen to pay the bill. Xiaochen didn't have so much money to buy it, but Xiaochen believed that maybe the miss would be kind enough to pay for him. Then, Xiaochen would order a bunch of seafood for nothing. If the miss spent money, it would be deducted from his salary in the future. Therefore, while Xiaochen was thinking about how to escape, his divine sense and spiritual force were also searching the entire cafeteria on the 2nd floor. If it didn't work, he would have to beat them up. Of course, the premise was that there were no school teachers present. Xiaochen didn't want to be expelled on the first day of transfer. However, after this search, Xiaochen's eyes lit up. Swoosh. Just when Lu Zhenming wasn't paying attention, Xiaochen stood up all of a sudden. With lightning speed, he picked up the lunchbox on the table and walked towards the staircase. Not good, this kid wants to run. Lu Zhenming reacted the fastest. Seeing Xiaochen run, he immediately said to Ma Jingang and the thin monkey-like man, "Stop him for me." After that, he also flew in the direction of Xiao Chen. However, to their surprise, Xiao Chen ran to the stairway of the cafeteria, but he didn't go down directly. Instead, he said with a smile, "Director Su, are you here to eat?" "Oh. It's student Xiao." Director Su saw Xiao Chen, and a smile appeared on his face. It should be known that Qing Zhongming was very efficient. After returning to the group, he called the school and said that with Director Su's help, the Qing family gave the school a sponsorship fee, which made Director Su greatly praised in front of the principal. Although Xiao Chen didn't seem to have any background, he was Miss Cheng's follower. Maybe Xiao Chen's words represented Qing Menjing's meaning. Therefore, Director Su had to greet Xiao Chen with a smile. "Xiao Chen, are you used to the new school? How is it? Are you getting along well with your classmates?" "Director Su, I'm very good. My classmates are all good to me, especially Lu Zhenming. He treated me to a seafood feast and asked me to take it away," Xiao Chen said as he shook the bento bag in his hand and said to Director Su. "Lu Zhenming?" Director Su was stunned. He knew very well what kind of person Lu Zhenming was. Why would he take the initiative to treat Xiao Chen to a meal? At this time, Lu Zhenming, Ma Gangmen, and Skinny Monkey Man also ran over. Lu Zhenming was about to lose his temper. Suddenly, he heard the conversation between Xiao Chen and Director Su. He suddenly froze and didn't know what to say. Treat Xiao Chen to a seafood feast? It seemed to be right, but Lu Zhenming's purpose wasn't to treat Xiao Chen, but to blackmail Xiao Chen to achieve the purpose of teaching Xiao Chen a lesson. However, if Xiao Chen said that in front of Director Su, how could I blackmail him? If I told Director Su that it was Xiao Chen's treat instead of Lu Zhenming's, Director Su had to believe it first. Xiao Chen looked like a poor man. How could he afford to treat this seafood feast? This lie was originally a very low level. With Director Su's IQ, he probably knew what was going on without thinking. Although Lu Zhenming didn't care much about going to school, Lu Zhenming's father and grandfather couldn't. Old Master Lu had a dream since he was a child. He was a rough man who mingled in the underworld. He wanted his son to become a refined scholar. Therefore, he named Lu Zhenming's father, Lu Siwen. However, in the past, the Lu family's power wasn't as good as it was now. Lu Siwen dropped out of school early, which made Old Master Lu very upset. When it came to Lu Zhenming's generation, the Lu family became an aristocratic family. Both Old Master Lu and Lu Siwen hoped that the Lu family would enter the upper class. Therefore, they attached great importance to Lu Zhenming's studies. They hoped that the Lu family could have a college student. Even if this college student didn't help the Lu family's business much, his reputation would be good. Otherwise, other aristocratic families would look down on you. When they saw the Lu family, they would say that they were rough people. Even if they were an aristocratic family, it was a low-level aristocratic family. Therefore, Lu Zhenming was still very afraid of Director Su in school. If he was expelled, even if the Lu family could finally find the Shen family to plead for leniency, it wouldn't be glorious. Old Master Lu would probably beat Lu Zhenming until he was disabled. It was too shameful. Old Master Lu couldn't afford to lose his face. "Director Su, you have always taught us to care about and unite our classmates." When Lu Zhenming said this, his heart was bleeding, but he had no choice. "I saw that Xiao Chen came from the mountainous area and had never eaten seafood before, so I treated him to a meal." "Oh, Student Lu, you did well." Although Director Su wondered if Lu Zhenming had taken the wrong medicine, after all, Lu Zhenming did a good thing. He could only say, "I hope you can keep up the good work. If you can keep up, there will definitely be a place for you in this year's outstanding student." Thank you, Director Su. I will keep up the good work." Lu Zhenming said this, but in his heart, he said, "Keep up the good work? Wouldn't I go bankrupt directly? I'm going upstairs to eat. I'll leave first. You guys also go back to the classroom to study. After eating, don't wander around outside. You're in grade 12. Work hard and get into a good university," Director Su said. "Got it, Director Su." Lu Zhenming sighed. He knew that he couldn't teach Xiaochen a lesson now, so he could only give up unwillingly. Student Lu, thank you for your big meal. When I become rich one day, I will spend my own money to eat. Xiaochen and Lu Zhenming waved their hands and turned to go downstairs. Chapter 25. Lu Zhenming was enraged by Xiaochen. He thought that Xiaochen would say that he would treat Lu Zhenming to a meal when he became rich one day. Then, Lu Zhenming would be a little comforted, but he didn't expect him to pay for a meal himself. Xiaochen. Just you wait. Lu Zhenming gritted his teeth and looked at Xiaochen's back as he left. His face turned livid. Skipping the bill after eating in the school cafeteria? Lu Zhenming didn't have the face to do so, and he couldn't escape even if he wanted to. People all knew him. How could he escape? If it became big, the entire Lu family would lose face. People would say, look, the Lu family is still not good enough. Their level is too low, and they brought the habit of eating and dashing to the school. At that time, what greeted Lu Zhenming wasn't as simple as a fat beating. The Lu family was now putting gold on their face in front of outsiders. Smearing the Lu family's name? Lu Zhenming didn't dare. He took out a credit card and handed it to Thin Monkey. He said to him, you go and pay the bill. Then, let's find a place to have a meeting and discuss how to deal with Xiaochen. In the past, dealing with Xiaochen was purely to take the opportunity to please Qing Menjing, but now, Lu Zhenming felt that if he didn't deal with Xiaochen, he wouldn't be able to swallow it. Miss Qing witnessed the whole process at the table in the corner. Although Xiaochen's approach was similar to his previous scoundrel behavior, Miss Qing still saw a trace of abnormality from this. She couldn't hear the conversation between Xiaochen and Lu Zhenming. She didn't know that Lu Zhenming wanted Xiaochen to pay the bill, but she also found it strange that Lu Zhenming treated Xiaochen to a meal. Later, Xiaochen ran away with the lunch bag, which made Qing Menjing even more puzzled. Why did Xiaochen run away? When I go back at night, I must ask him. Curiosity killed the cat, but Qing Menjing still couldn't help being curious. In the past, she didn't have much contact with Xiaochen, so she didn't care about what Xiaochen did. Now, in the new school, the only person that Qing Menjing knew was Xiaochen. And Xiaochen was her male servant. Especially now, Qing Menjing also felt that the Qing family had wronged Xiaochen, so she would pay attention to Xiaochen more or less. After coming out of the cafeteria, Xiaochen went straight back to the classroom, while Lu Zhenming called Ma Gangmen and Skinny Monkey to come to the basketball stand on the playground, ready to discuss how to deal with Xiaochen and how to pursue Qing Menjing. Skinny Monkey, you have a good brain. You said that Xiaochen went to Director Su, and Director Su's attitude, is he on Xiaochen's side? Although Director Su's attitude was impartial today, in Lu Zhenming's opinion, Director Su seemed to talk a bit too much today, so he let Skinny Monkey analyze it for him. It can't be. Director Su didn't say anything on Xiaochen's side. I think it may be because Xiaochen just transferred here, and Director Su has a deep impression of him, so he said a few more words. Skinny Monkey shook his head and said, but Xiaochen is smart enough to know how to get away. I have wasted so many abalone and lobsters, but I haven't eaten any of them. Yeah, more than 200,000 yuan. Ma Gangmen also regretted. Why didn't I move faster and pick up the lobster? Xiaochen, that brat, took it away. Okay. After listening to the words of the two people, Lu Zhenming couldn't help but say angrily, I didn't even get to eat fried rice in the end. You two are nothing. What we need to talk about now is how to deal with Xiaochen, not complaining. How to deal with him? According to my idea, we block the kid in a place where there is no one, and use the electric cannon to kill him. Ma Gangmen gritted his teeth and said, but Brother Ming, you need to use him to get close to Qing Menjing. Yeah, if not, we won't suffer losses in the hands of this country bumpkin again and again. Skinny Monkey also said. What? Do you two mean that you want to blame this on me? Lu Zhenming looked at the two men and said sinisterly. Ugh. I don't dare. Ma Gangmen was shocked and said quickly. How can we blame Brother Ming? Skinny Monkey also said quickly. Do you have any constructive suggestions? Lu Zhenming asked. Brother Ming, I think it's not realistic to use Xiao Chen to get close to Qing Menjing. Skinny Monkey hesitated and said, before, when Ma Gangmen went to ask for protection fees from Xiao Chen, if there was a conflict at that time, we could tell Qing Menjing that the new classmate was going to find you, Brother Ming. But now, Qing Menjing saw that we invited him to lunch at noon, so we can't use him anymore. Yeah, Brother Ming, Xiao Chen has lost his value. It's better to stop him after school at night and beat him to death to vent his anger. Ma Gangmen also nodded and said, at that time, we can think of a way to pursue Qing Menjing. Okay. Lu Zhenming nodded. He really couldn't take it. If he didn't beat up Xiao Chen, he would probably get sick from holding it in. Then tonight, go to the gym. Gangmen, tell Teacher Lei to vacate the gym. The places that Lu Zhenming wanted to teach people were the men's toilet, the rooftop, and the gym. But it was dark at night, and he couldn't see clearly on the rooftop. It would be bad if he beat up the wrong person again. It was better to go to the gym. Okay, I'll go find Teacher Lei in a while. Ma Gangmen was in the school's boxing team, and Lei Dianfeng was also the coach of the boxing team. So, no one suspected that he was close to Teacher Lei. Humph, Xiao Chen, no matter how much you eat at noon today, I will beat you until you vomit it all out. Lu Zhenming said with hatred. He, young Master Lu, had never been cheated by others. It had always been him who cheated others. Now that he was cheated by a country bumpkin, he had to vent his anger. If it weren't for the fear of being expelled from the school, I would kill this kid tonight. Yes, even if he digested it, he would beat the shit out of him. Ma Gangmen added. Then let him eat it. Skinny Monkey was even more disgusted. As the three of them were talking, a pretty boy who looked like a pretty boy came to them. I say, Lu, what are you doing? Are you having a party under the basketball hoop on such a cold day? It turns out to be young Master Kun. As soon as Lu Zhenming looked up, he saw Yu Xiaochuan, the young master of the Yu family, also one of the 9 aristocratic families. He was also Tang Tang's fiancé. Of course, their engagement had long been in name only. Yu Xiaochuan nodded. He enjoyed being called young Master Kun very much. He called Lu Zhenming Lu, but Lu Zhenming called him young Master Kun, which highlighted the identity of the two. The Lu family was a new aristocratic family, and naturally could not be compared with the old aristocratic family like the Yu family. Look at you guys gnashing your teeth. What's wrong? What's the trouble? Yu Xiaochuan rarely poked his nose into other people's business, but he felt comfortable being called young Master Kun today, so he asked one more question. In fact, it's nothing. He's just a country bumpkin transfer student. After school, I will let him know how powerful I, Lu Zhenming, am. Lu Zhenming said lightly. Naturally, he couldn't let Yu Xiaochuan know that he was cheated by a country bumpkin of more than 200,000 yuan. If he said it, Yu Xiaochuan would laugh his head off. Oh, then you guys still have a serious meeting. You guys are giving face to that country bumpkin. Yu Xiaochuan curled his lips. He knew that Lu Zhenming didn't tell the truth, so he said sarcastically. Of course not for him. In addition to this country bumpkin, there's also a goddess Cheng in our class. I'm thinking about how to pursue her. Lu Zhenming didn't hide it. He also wanted to spread the news in front of Yu Xiaochuan. Qing Menjing was valued by Lu Zhenming, so others shouldn't get involved. Qing Menjing? Yu Xiaochuan was slightly stunned and asked. Hearing Yu Xiaochuan call out Qing Menjing's name, Lu Zhenming's face suddenly changed. Young Master Kun, you're not going to steal a woman from me, your little brother. My engagement with Tang Tang hasn't been broken yet. How can I pursue someone else? Yu Xiaochuan shook his head. He was a hypocrite, so he naturally had to pretend. Do you think I'm Xiao Chen of the Xiao family, fooling around with a woman in front of my fiancé? Now the result is good, right? The engagement has been broken off, right? That's really a big idiot. I heard that he committed suicide. Lu Zhenming also heard of Xiao Qin. I think he's looking for trouble. The Xiao family's face has been lost by him. I guess the Xiao family has long wanted to drive him out of the family. Taking advantage of this matter, they directly drove him out of the family. Lu Zhenming thought of others with the situation of his own Lu family. The Lu family, a new aristocratic family, cared the most about face. They always regarded themselves as an aristocratic family, for fear that others would say that their family was not qualified. However, Yu Xiaochuan and Lu Zhenming were both students of the second middle school. They had never seen Xiao Qin. They had only heard of Xiao Qin, but they didn't know the name Xiao Qin. Xiao Qin's engagement was broken off. In their eyes, they were just watching the fun. No one expected that Xiao Qin transferred to the second middle school. Their families had no contact with the Xiao family. Not to mention them, even their elders would not care about these things. What I want to remind you is that this Qing Menjing is Xiao Chen's fiancée, the Qing family's Qing Menjing. You have to be careful when you pursue her. Don't cause any trouble. Brother, I can't protect you. Yu Xiaochuan patted Lu Zhenming's shoulder and said. Lu Zhenming had always respected Yu Xiaochuan in school. He always regarded himself as a younger brother, which made Yu Xiaochuan quite pleased with him, so he reminded him in passing. Ah! Qing family? Lu Zhenming's body trembled, and cold sweat suddenly appeared on his forehead. This is the Qing family, the head of the 9 aristocratic families. Fortunately, I didn't use force or some words of coercion and temptation. Although the Lu family is also one of the 9 aristocratic families, it's worlds apart from the Qing family. However, Lu Zhenming was afraid, but he suddenly felt that this was an opportunity. If he could bring the beauty home and marry Qing Menjing, wouldn't the Lu family soar? With the support of the Qing family, it would be completely different from now. Thinking of this, Lu Zhenming gritted his teeth and decided to pursue Qing Menjing. Chapter 26. Thank you for reminding me, young Master Kun. I'm really grateful. If you need my help in the future, young Master Kun, just tell me. Lu Zhenming said gratefully. You're welcome. Yu Xiaochuan waved his hand and said, then you continue the meeting. I'll leave first. Young Master Kun, take care. Lu Zhenming said happily. However, Yu Xiaochuan, who turned around, snorted. Qing Menjing? Do you think it's so easy to pursue her? Let's not talk about whether Qing Menjing agrees or not. Even if she agrees, the Qing family won't like your Lu family. However, he didn't say these words. If he said it, it would make Lu Zhenming unhappy. It was better to encourage him. Lu Zhenming thought that he was good to him. In Yu Xiaochuan's heart, he actually wanted to get a piece of the cake. However, because of his fiancée, Tang Tang, Yu Xiaochuan could only endure it. Yu Xiaochuan had always been a good boy and a genius in front of everyone. So, after the engagement was completely broken off, he couldn't pursue others. Although the Yu family had released news several times before that they wanted to break off the engagement with Tang Tang, after all, Tang Tang looked like this. If the Yu family asked her to be the eldest grandson's daughter-in-law, it was a bit embarrassing. The Tang family was naturally in the wrong. Old Master Tang also acquiesced to this matter. However, now the Yu family and the Tang family still had a cooperation, and the thing that maintained this cooperation was the marriage of Yu Xiaochuan and Tang Tang. Even if both families knew that this engagement would be broken off sooner or later, it was at least a bond to maintain the relationship. Tang Tang had moved out of the family, and the Tang family didn't care about it, which also showed this point. After Yu Xiaochuan left, Lu Zhenming also fell into deep thought. Qing Menjing's identity was the eldest daughter of the Qing family, so his pursuit strategy had to be adjusted accordingly. Fortunately, it didn't lead to a disaster. Xiao Qin returned to the teaching building with a bag of delicacies. As soon as he walked into the classroom, he saw Tang Tang coming from another direction with a bag of rolls in her hand. Xiao Qin. Didn't I tell you not to go out? Why did you go out? Lu Zhenming didn't give you any trouble, did he? Tang Tang was slightly stunned when she saw Xiao Qin, and then asked with some annoyance. Are you still hungry? Xiaochen glanced at the bag of rolls in Tang Tang's hand and suddenly realized why Tang Tang only ate a steamed bun when she went out before. The steamed bun was not big. How could she not be hungry? It was he who had overlooked it. No. Tang Tang blushed a little and said, "This is our dinner. We have a self-study class in the evening. We will be hungry if we don't eat before." Huh, you're not full, I'm not full either. See, I brought you some after I finished eating. Xiaochen raised the bento bag in his hand, shook it in front of Tang Tang's eyes, and said with a smile. At least you have a conscience. This is, abalone? Lobster? After Tang Tang saw the things in the transparent bento box, she suddenly widened her eyes and almost didn't stare out. Xiaochen, do you have money? Even if you have some savings, you can't spend it like this, right? Do you know how much it costs? What will you do in the future if you don't have it? Tang Tang was not happy when she saw these delicacies. Instead, she was furious. In her opinion, Xiaochen had just been kicked out of the house, and he probably had some savings in his hand. But what if these savings were spent? Moreover, it would cost at least 1 or 200,000 yuan. How many days would she have to sell breakfast to earn back this money? Tang Tang's heart was bleeding. How can I have money to buy this? When Xiaochen saw Tang Tang's expression, he knew that she had misunderstood. He suddenly felt a little dumbfounded. This is Lu Zhenming's treat. I took the rest back. Lu Zhenming? Tang Tang was stunned, but she was even more surprised. He treated you to eat? How is it possible? Xiaochen, don't lie. If you lie to me, we can't even be friends. If you tell me the truth, I don't blame you. After all, you lived a good life before. He really treated me. Xiaochen shrugged and told Tang Tang about the previous situation. Of course, it included Lu Zhenming's plot to make him treat. You are quite smart. You know to find Director Su. After listening to Xiaochen's words, Tang Tang also believed it. She nodded and said, but you are also ruthless. You cheated Lu Zhenming of so much money. Be careful, he will take revenge on you. What will come will come. Even if I didn't cheat him at noon, the person who would be cheated must be me. I can't hide, so I might as well cheat him. Xiaochen said helplessly, I really don't know how to provoke that kid. Why did he target me? That's true. Tang Tang nodded. I'm also very strange. Why did he target you? But it doesn't matter. At school, he dare not deal with you blatantly. Next time he asks you to go somewhere, you don't go. At other times, I will help you keep an eye on him. Don't worry about it. Eat first. It won't taste good if it's too cold. Xiaochen said. He was a cultivator. In the words of the elder heaven ancestor, it was a very rare, powerful and high-end profession. Why should he be afraid of Lu Zhenming? Then I will take advantage of you. Tang Tang was not polite. She took the lunch bag in Xiaochen's hand and walked into the classroom. Tang Tang put the abalone and lobster on the desk. Her eyes began to shine. It was delicious. She hadn't eaten meat for a long time, not to mention high-end seafood. Tang Tang couldn't help but grab an abalone and put it into her mouth. It was delicious. It was so delicious. Xiaochen looked at Tang Tang, who couldn't wait to eat, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. When he was in No. 1 middle school, it was Zhu Yingxiong who treated him very well. Now that he was in No. 2 middle school, it was Tang Tang who treated him well. Xiaochen had packed all the seafood for himself. Otherwise, he wouldn't have packed it away after eating only one. Although Tang Tang was a little fat, she was very real, which made Xiaochen feel that this little girl was still very cute. At least when he was with her, Xiaochen could be open, and he didn't have the worries of being with a beautiful woman. It was also good to have such a buddy. Xiaochen didn't eat it. What hadn't he eaten before he was kicked out of the Xiao family? It was only one day, and he was not greedy for these things. However, the aroma of abalone and lobster attracted the attention of a boy sitting in front of Tang Tang and Xiao Chen. He turned his head and looked at the dishes on the table in surprise. Holy sh*t, class rep Tang, did you win the prize? You bought so many delicious food? Jing Xiaokuan, if you want to eat, then eat. Xiao Chen's treat. Tang Tang was never a stingy person, which could be seen from the fact that she didn't hesitate to give lunch to Xiao Chen, so Xiao Chen didn't stop her. Then I won't be polite. Jing Xiaokuan was obviously a friendly person. He directly broke off a lobster pincer and put it in his mouth. He said while eating, Xiao Chen, I didn't expect that you are also a nouveau riche. Looking at your dress, I was almost cheated by you. Of course, Xiao Chen didn't say too much to Jing Xiaokuan. After all, Jing Xiaokuan and Xiao Chen weren't particularly familiar with each other. Xiao Chen also ate a few mouthfuls. It didn't take long for Lu Zhenming to return to the classroom with Ma Gangmen and the thin monkey-like man. Seeing Xiao Chen and the other two eating heartily, Lu Zhenming's eyes flashed a trace of impatience. Motherf **, I let you eat, then spit it out tonight. After a few breaths, Lu Zhenming calmed down the anger in his heart. These three people ate with my money. I haven't eaten yet. Delicious, delicious, Xiao Chen, thank you. I didn't expect the abalone in the school cafeteria to be so delicious. Jing Xiaokuan said while eating with his mouth and hands full. When Lu Zhenming heard this ear-piercing voice, he became even angrier. He suppressed his anger and sat back in his seat. Jing Xiaokuan didn't notice, but Tang Tang saw Lu Zhenming's expression. At this time, she also believed Xiao Chen's words. Sure enough, Lu Zhenming's face looked like he was cheated. The first class in the afternoon was a self-study class. Originally, Lu Zhenming wanted to find trouble with Xiao Chen after school. But when he saw Xiao Chen and the others eating heartily, he couldn't help it. He walked in front of Xiao Chen and said to Xiao Chen with a gloomy face, Boy, go out with me for a while. Go out? For what? Of course, Xiao Chen knew Lu Zhenming's purpose. It was nothing more than because he suffered losses at noon. Lu Zhenming wanted to teach him a lesson, but he pretended not to know. For what? Of course, I want to **CKU. But Lu Zhenming couldn't say that, you are new here. I just want to teach you some rules. I have invited you for lunch at noon. What else can I do? Could it be that you're afraid? Then tell me. It's my first day here. I don't want to be expelled because of truancy. Xiao Chen was not afraid of Lu Zhenming, but until now, Xiao Chen still hadn't figured out why Lu Zhenming kept staring at him. Okay, then let's talk after school. Seeing that Xiao Chen didn't leave, Lu Zhenming thought he was afraid. But he would wait patiently until school was over. At that time, he would see if Xiao Chen had any reason to refuse. After that, Lu Zhenming turned back to his seat. After Lu Zhenming left, Jing Xiaokuan turned back with some doubts. Buddy, how did you offend Lu Zhenming? Didn't Ma Jinggang ask you for money before? It's just 10,000 yuan. Isn't it a piece of cake for you? You just need to spend money to avoid trouble, right? In Jing Xiaokuan's view, Xiao Chen was a local tyrant who bought lobsters and abalones without blinking. How could he be short of 10,000 yuan? Why did Lu Zhenming show up in person in a twinkling of an eye? Tang Tang glared at Jing Xiaokuan and said, how could Xiao Chen have the money to buy it? Isn't it Lu Zhenming who bought it? Lu Zhenming? Just now he said that he invited Xiao Chen for lunch at noon. Is this what he meant? Jing Xiaokuan was a little surprised. Just like Tang Tang before, his eyes widened. In his view, this matter was a little unbelievable. Lu Zhenming invited Xiao Chen for a meal, and he still wanted to trouble him? This was not scientific at all, unless Lu Zhenming had a problem with his brain, or water, or puncture. Chapter 27. It's like this. Tang Tang told Jing Xiaokuan about the situation at noon, and then said, okay, Jing Xiaokuan, don't get involved. It's none of your business. Damn, Xiao Chen, you're awesome. After Jing Xiaokuan heard it, he immediately gave Xiao Chen a thumbs up. You cheated Lu Zhenming of more than 200,000 yuan. You really dared to do it, but the abalone and lobster are really delicious. Jing Xiaokuan, are you gloating over my misfortune? You're awesome. Tang Tang frowned, then turned to look at Xiao Chen and said, Xiao Chen, school is over. Don't listen to Lu Zhenming. Don't go with him. I'll go home with you. Let's see what he can do. Tang Tang, your method is not a problem, but you can't hide forever. Jing Xiaokuan interrupted, I say, buddy, now you have to figure out how you offended Lu Zhenming. Find the reason, and then deal with it. How would I know? Xiao Chen said with a wry smile, in the morning, Maji asked me for 10,000 yuan, but I didn't have it. At noon, they asked me to have a meal. Tang Tang told you what happened next. How could I offend him? That's true. After Jing Xiaokuan heard Xiao Chen's words, he could not help but frown. Indeed, if it was as Xiao Chen said, there was no hatred between the two of them. If there was any hatred, it had only been formed during lunch. However, Lu Zhenming had no reason to treat Xiao Chen to a meal. For the protection fee of 10,000 yuan, there was no need to make a big fuss to invite Xiao Chen to a banquet, and then let Xiao Chen pay the bill. This Xiao Chen could not even take out the protection fee of 10,000 yuan. How could he afford the meal? It's okay. I'll go with them after school. Xiao Chen said indifferently, Jing Xiaokuan, you're right. I can't hide forever. I'll ask them why they are targeting me. Xiao Chen, it's not that I look down on you, but if you go with them tonight, you probably don't have to come tomorrow. Jing Xiaokuan patted his head and said, Xiao Chen, do you know what Lu Zhenming's family does? In the morning, Xiao Chen and Tang Tang talked in a low voice, so Jing Xiaokuan didn't hear it. He didn't know Xiao Chen's background. He thought that Jing Xiaokuan didn't know Lu Zhenming's family. What do you mean? Although Xiao Chen knew what Lu Zhenming's family did, he could only pretend not to know. To be honest, Xiao Chen didn't care about Lu Zhenming, Ma Gangmen, and the thin monkey-like trio. His current strength was equivalent to the first stage of internal strength. If he wanted to, he could directly send Lu Zhenming and the other two to the west for Buddhist scriptures. Lu Zhenming's Lu family is one of the 9 well-known families, and it started by mixing with the underworld. It occupies 3/4 of the underworld in Songming City. Do you think you can have a good result if you follow such a young master of the underworld? Jing Xiaokuan said, don't say that I didn't remind you. Several students in the school have been suspended by them. Suspended? How serious did they have to be suspended from school? Xiao Chen didn't expect that Lu Zhenming was so ruthless. Xiao Chen had bullied others before, but it was not so serious. Then, what do you think we should do? Asked Xiao Chen. He didn't know why, but Xiao Chen felt that Jing Xiaokuan wasn't a simple person. Perhaps it was the vision of the children of the aristocratic families, or perhaps it was because of the intuition of a cultivator. Let's talk about numbers. Jing Xiaokuan said, since you didn't offend him, then let's talk about it. Once we talk about it, there will be no problem. Talking about numbers was the jargon of the negotiation between the underworld. Xiao Chen naturally understood it. What if they don't talk to me? Asked Xiao Chen. I've eaten so much abalone and lobster in the afternoon. Jing Xiaokuan sighed helplessly. I'll accompany you after school. I'll go with you after school. Jing Xiaokuan sighed. You? Asked Xiao Chen. Buddy, don't look down on me. My brother Kuan is also famous in the school. Jing Xiaokuan patted his chest and said. Tang Tang pondered for a while and then said, Xiao Chen, Jing Xiaokuan is right. Find a chance to talk to Lu Zhenming. It's not a way to go on like this. I will go with you tonight. Come on, class monitor Tang, I have to take care of you if you go. You are no longer the young lady of the Tang family. It's fine. I will go with you tonight. Said Jing Xiaokuan. Forget it, young Master Zheng. Is there any difference between you and me? Don't forget who replaced your Zheng family. Tang Tang was very smart. She pointed out Jing Xiaoquan's identity without batting an eyelid. She didn't say Xiao Chen's identity because Xiao Chen wanted a new start. His identity was naturally not suitable to be exposed. However, Tang Tang also wanted to let Xiao Chen know who Jing Xiaoquan was. Sure enough, Xiao Chen understood. The Zheng family. This was the family that was previously replaced by the Lu family. The Zheng family was also a family that mingled in the underworld. Of course, it wasn't completely underworld in nature. It was a half-black and half-white existence. The Zheng family's biggest business was a security company and a martial arts school. As for the underworld, although it occupied a large share of Songming City, it didn't sell drugs. Drugs were an important source of income for the underworld. The Zheng family didn't sell it, nor did they allow other gangs to sell it. Every time they sold it, they would rob it. This was also the reason why the Zheng family was particularly hated. Therefore, a new underworld family rose up. Under the support of a master, they united other small gangs and gave the Zheng family a fatal blow. Although the Zheng family didn't perish, their vitality was greatly damaged. Their power was not as great as before. The Zheng family's most powerful martial artist, Jing Dao, was also seriously injured and his strength was greatly reduced. This made the Zheng family have to withdraw from the ranks of the aristocratic families and become an ordinary family in Songming City. To Xiao Chen's surprise, the Zheng family was also here, but he didn't know what the relationship between Jing Xiaoquan and Jing Dao was. It doesn't matter whether I replaced them or not. I'm a master. At least I still have the deterrent power. Jing Xiaoquan said, I don't believe that Lu Zhenming wants to make things worse and send me to the hospital. Although our Jing family is not doing well now, we're not a soft persimmon. Don't worry. I'm here to guarantee that Xiao Chen will be fine. After listening to Jing Xiaoquan's words, Tang Tang pondered for a moment and nodded. She said, Jing Xiaoquan, you're a good friend. I didn't treat you in vain. Xiao Chen, let Jing Xiaoquan accompany you on this trip tonight. Come on, just bring me a few fried dough sticks and sesame seed cakes that you haven't sold out in the morning. Is that good enough for me? Jing Xiaoquan rolled his eyes. I'm only here because I ate the seafood at noon. I can't treat it as a free meal, right? Tang Tang knew that Jing Xiaoquan was a loyal person, but this loyalty was for her, not Xiao Chen. Tang Tang didn't think that Jing Xiaoquan would do anything for Xiao Chen on the first day he met him. Tang Tang and Jing Xiaoquan were buddies. They were actually classmates in elementary school, junior high school, and high school. For so many years, if Tang Tang hadn't been engaged to Yu Xiaochuan, they could have been called childhood sweethearts. Qing Menjing sat in her seat and frowned. Lu Zhenming was going to trouble Xiao Chen after school. Should she help him or not? If she helped him, her relationship with Xiao Chen would be exposed, and Xiao Chen's identity would also be exposed. She was afraid that this was not what Xiao Chen wanted to see. But if she didn't help, she couldn't just watch Xiao Chen being beaten on the first day of school, could she? Although in Qing Menjing's view, Xiao Chen really deserved a beating, he was her follower. How could he be beaten up by you? If you want to beat him up, I should do it myself. Therefore, Miss Cheng was very confused. She almost didn't listen to the rest of the class. She was thinking about what to do at night. However, just when Miss Cheng was confused, Lu Zhenming took the initiative to come over and sat on the empty seat next to Qing Menjing. Qing Menjing, let's get to know each other. My name is Lu Zhenming, from the Lu family. After that, Lu Zhenming reached out his hand and looked at Qing Menjing eagerly. Oh, hello. Qing Menjing naturally couldn't shake hands with Lu Zhenming, so she just replied indifferently. Menjing, Lu Zhenming, still have a lot of power in this school. If you encounter any trouble in the future, just tell me. I will help you. Lu Zhenming said, of course, with Miss Cheng's identity, you may not need me to do anything, but there are some things like teaching someone a lesson. I can do it for you, so that Miss Cheng's hands won't be dirty. Oh. I heard that you are going to teach that Xiaochen a lesson tonight? Qing Menjing didn't know how to intervene in this matter. Since Lu Zhenming mentioned it, Qing Menjing also pretended to ask casually. Xiaochen, that kid doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. He said that he would treat us to lunch at noon, but he ordered a lot of abalone and lobster. He even asked me to pay the bill. Does he think I'm a fool? Lu Zhenming naturally wouldn't tell the truth. In his opinion, Qing Menjing was so far away that she shouldn't know the truth. Oh. Qing Menjing certainly wouldn't believe that Xiaochen would take the initiative to treat Lu Zhenming to lunch, but she said calmly, "Oh? How are you going to teach him a lesson?" "I'm going to take him to the gym." "Why?" "Menjing, are you interested in watching?" Lu Zhenming took the opportunity to invite her. "Then, let's go and watch." Qing Menjing nodded as if she was tempted, but she was relieved in her heart. If she went, if Xiaochen was really beaten, she would find a suitable time to stand up and persuade Lu Zhenming to forget it. She would say that she was afraid of blood. Most likely, Lu Zhenming would give her face. For Lu Zhenming's mind, Qing Menjing was clear. Even when she was in number 1 middle school, she had Xiaochen as her fiancé, but there was no lack of pursuers around her, such as Chao Yuliang. "Okay, Menjing, I will call you tonight." Lu Zhenming was overjoyed. He thought, does Qing Menjing also like violence? It seems to be the case. Thinking about it, her previous fiancé was a bully. Since Qing Menjing is willing to be engaged with him, it means that she must like him. As for breaking off the engagement now, Lu Zhenming didn't think much about it. It was entirely the family's behavior. Did these children of aristocratic families have the right to choose? In this way, Lu Zhenming felt that if he could catch up with Qing Menjing, it would be very promising. Am I not the type that Qing Menjing likes? Chapter 28. You can call me Qing Menjing or Miss Qing. We are not very familiar with each other yet, Qing Menjing said indifferently on the surface, but she was extremely disgusted in her heart. She hated Xiaochen again. You bastard. You're causing trouble for me on your first day of school. You even made me put on an act and ask Lu Zhenming to think of a solution for you. You're pissing me off. If it weren't for the fact that you are so pitiful because of the Qing family, I wouldn't care about your life or death. Humph. Do you think you are still the old Xiaochen? You provoked Lu Zhenming as soon as you went to school. Let him beat you first. Then I will ask for mercy. It is a lesson for you. Okay, then I will call you Qing Menjing. Lu Zhenming thought that Qing Menjing meant that he could call her Menjing after they were familiar with each other. He was very happy. The afternoon passed by quickly. What was to come, would eventually come. After the evening self-study session, Lu Zhenming found Xiaochen again. Xiaochen, you have nothing to say this time, right? Now that there are no more classes and school is over, can you come with me? Because of Qing Menjing's observation, Lu Zhenming's mood was much better. His tone to Xiaochen was not as harsh as before. Let's go. Where are we going? Since Xiaochen had made a decision, he naturally didn't talk nonsense with Lu Zhenming. He stood up directly. You won't know where to go even if I tell you. It is your first day here. Just follow me. Lu Zhenming naturally couldn't say that they were going to the gymnasium. There were many people in the classroom. If others knew that he was going to the gymnasium, they might be suspicious. How could Lu Zhenming get the key to the gymnasium? After school, other than the sports clubs that sometimes trained in the gym was always locked. Isn't it just going to the stadium? Why are you being so mysterious? Let's go. I know him. Jing Xiaokuan stood up lazily and followed behind Xiaochen. Xiaochen was touched by Jing Xiaokuan's action. Whether it was because of Tang Tang or the seafood at noon, at least Xiaochen remembered Jing Xiaokuan's favor. Originally, Xiaochen thought he was down and out, and only Zhu Yingxiong stayed with him. Unexpectedly, he met two like-minded friends, Tang Tang and Jing Xiaokuan, when he just transferred to the number 2 middle school. Jing Xiaokuan? Why are you joining in the fun? When he saw Jing Xiaokuan stand up, Lu Zhenming frowned and said, "It's none of your business. Go away." Lu Zhenming, isn't it because of the lunch at noon? I ate too. Jing Xiaokuan said, "If you think it's too much, how about I treat you to a banquet one day?" Damn it, you treat me? Who do you think you are? Lu Zhenming was a little angry. Usually, he would give face to Jing Xiaokuan. Although the Jing family was down and out, Jing Xiaokuan was a warrior, and his strength was slightly higher than Lu Zhenming's. Therefore, in school, Lu Zhenming tried not to conflict with Jing Xiaokuan. Even a rabbit would bite when it was anxious. It was not worth it if he was beaten by Jing Xiaokuan. But today, because Qing Menjing was watching, Lu Zhenming wanted to show off in front of Qing Menjing. If he just played it down, where could he find such a good opportunity to show off? If he didn't trample on others, how could he show his dominance? Lu Zhenming, did you get shot? It seems that you don't even want to give face to me, Jing Xiaokuan. I was kind enough to be a peacemaker. Since you don't know what's good for you, then I will go with Xiao Chen to see what tricks you can play. Jing Xiaokuan said coldly. Although his Jing family was now in decline, it was also at the mercy of others. Jing Xiaokuan's words immediately made Lu Zhenming frown. Although the Lu family was strong now, if the Jing family went all out, the Lu family wouldn't have it easy either. In the beginning, if Jing Dao of the Jing family wasn't injured, and the Jing family wanted to preserve their strength, so they took the initiative to give up their territory and aristocratic family position. They wanted to fight the Lu family to the end. Although the Lu family would win in the end, they wouldn't be as glorious as they were now. Not to mention the aristocratic family position, they wouldn't even be able to keep their current territory. After all, if they fought to the death with the Jing family, the Lu family's strength would also be greatly damaged. How could they make those small gangs listen to the Lu family? However, although Lu Zhenming was angry, he couldn't directly fall out with Jing Xiaokuan. He could only take a deep breath and think of countermeasures in his heart. He wanted to see how he could stop Jing Xiaokuan from making a move. Lu Zhenming led the way in front, Xiao Chen and Jing Xiaokuan followed behind, and Ma Jingang and the thin monkey-like man were at the back. Not far away, the people who followed were Qing Menjing and Tang Tang. Although Tang Tang didn't follow directly, because she was worried, she followed far behind. Qing Menjing was nominally going to watch Lu Zhenming teach people a lesson, so she naturally followed behind. Tang Tang noticed Qing Menjing, and Qing Menjing also noticed Tang Tang, but they weren't familiar with each other. Because Tang Tang became friends with Xiao Chen, she didn't have a good impression of Qing Menjing, who broke off their engagement. Soon, the group came to the gymnasium in the northeast corner of the school. At this moment, the gymnasium was dark. Ma Jingang took out the key, opened the door skillfully, and turned on the lights of the gymnasium. Tang Tang saw that Qing Menjing also walked into the gymnasium, and then stood next to Lu Zhenming. She couldn't help but frown. Why does it seem that Qing Menjing and Lu Zhenming are on the same side? Could it be that Qing Menjing asked Lu Zhenming to teach Xiao Chen a lesson? Isn't she too bad? Thinking of this, Tang Tang hated Qing Menjing. A woman's heart is the most vicious. He is your former fiancé. However, Tang Tang forgot that she was also a woman. She also hated her fiancé, Yu Xiaochuan. If there was a chance, she wouldn't hesitate to beat Yu Xiaochuan. However, in Tang Tang's view, Yu Xiaochuan was a hypocrite full of evil tricks, while Xiao Chen was much more real. Bang! The door of the gymnasium was closed. Because the windows of the gymnasium were very high, Tang Tang could only see the lights in the gymnasium, but she couldn't see the scene in the gymnasium. She could only eavesdrop at the door of the gymnasium, but unfortunately, she couldn't hear anything. In fact, seeing that Jing Xiaokuan and Tang Tang came over, Miss Cheng was a little surprised. She really didn't think that Xiao Chen would be so popular that the eldest daughter of the Tang family and the eldest son of the Jing family would stand up for him. However, the identity of these two people was not much better than Xiao Chen now. They were extremely down and out. Xiao Chen, do you know why I asked you to come here? Lu Zhenming glanced at Qing Menjing, and then began to pretend. He took out a toothpick and put it in his mouth, just like a gangster boss in the movies. Okay, Lu Zhenming, stop pretending. If you have the ability, smoke a cigarette in your mouth and take a toothpick to pretend. Xiaochen didn't speak, but Jing Xiaokuan said first, didn't I say that? You want to count, I'm here. Isn't it just abalone and lobster at noon? I'll invite you back another day. You. Lu Zhenming was very angry. It was not that he didn't want to smoke, but he had quit smoking. It should be known that smoking was very harmful for warriors. In order to practice, he changed to pretend to be cool with a toothpick. But Jing Xiaokuan actually asked him to smoke. Wasn't it a trap? Okay. Then let's forget about the matter at noon. How about the matter of him scolding Ma Gangmen in the morning? Lu Zhenming took a deep breath. He knew that Jing Xiaokuan was pestering him endlessly, but he had no way to deal with it. After all, Jing Xiaokuan also ate the lunch at noon. Or you can ask Ma Gangmen to scold him back. Jing Xiaokuan made it clear that he was here to smooth things over. Damn it, scold him back? If you kill me, will I be able to kill you back? It's useless to say these things. Besides, he scolded Ma Gangmen, not me. Ma Gangmen has the final say on how to teach him a lesson. After that, Lu Zhenming glanced at Ma Gangmen next to him and winked at him. Well, Xiaochen, I, Master Ma, will not make things difficult for you. Let's have a fight. No matter who wins or loses, we'll forget about today's matter. How about it? Ma Gangmen said, the standard of winning or losing is that one person beats the other until he kneels and begs for mercy and licks the leather shoes. Then he wins. Of course, in order to prevent you from kneeling and begging for mercy and licking the leather shoes, there is a time limit. You can only admit defeat after 10 minutes. Otherwise, even if you are beaten to the ground, you can only accept it. How about it? Lu Zhenming, do you think this is fair? Jing Xiaokuan asked, how about I go up and fight with Ma Gangmen? F***ck off. Jing Xiaokuan, I have already given you a lot of face. Lu Zhenming snorted coldly and said, it's none of your business. In the morning, the person who scolded Ma Gangmen was Xiaochen, not you. However, if you kneel on the ground and kowtow to me 3 times, and then lick the dust on my leather shoes, then I will let Xiaochen go. How about it? Can you do it? You. Jing Xiaokuan was very angry with Lu Zhenming. This was a naked humiliation. Although Jing Xiaokuan was very worried about Xiaochen, it was absolutely impossible for him to kneel. If he kneeled, it represented the Zheng family's compromise with the Lu family. From then on, the Zheng family's only territory would be given away. Lu Zhenming had a good plan. If Jing Xiaokuan kneeled today, although Lu Zhenming could not teach Xiaochen a lesson and could not win Qing Menjing's heart, the Lu family would get too many important things. Compared with this, he would rather postpone his own plan. What about me? I am already very fair. Xiaochen provoked Ma Gangmen. He and Ma Gangmen have a one-on-one fight. I did not bully him with more people. What else do you want? After Lu Zhenming finished speaking, he turned to look at Qing Menjing and asked, Goddess Qing, do you think it is fair for me to do this? Gong, ping. Qing Menjing had no choice but to say that it was fair. However, she had already decided that when Xiaochen was beaten down, she would come forward to plead. Did you hear that? Jing Xiaokuan, Xiaochen, Qing Menjing just transferred here today. It is impossible for her to be with me. She said that it is fair, then it is very fair. Lu Zhenming said. Chapter 29. Okay, don't be angry. Xiaochen patted Jing Xiaokuan's shoulder. Jing Xiaokuan could do this today, and Xiaochen was very grateful. I agree to your condition. I will fight with Ma Chang. Good, you are very good. When Lu Zhenming heard Xiaochen call Ma Gangmen Ma Chang, he was angry and laughed. Later, let me see if you can still say the word Ma Chang. You brat, remember, your master Ma is called Ma Gangmen. Ma Gangmen began to move his body and rubbed his palms. In his opinion, it was okay for Xiao Chen to be stubborn now. Later, he would kneel and cry. Got it. Anus, bootlicker. Xiao Chen nodded. Ma Gangmen, let's start. Don't talk to him about those useless things. Lu Zhenming waved his hand and ordered Ma Gangmen directly. Hee, okay. Ma Gangmen laughed sinisterly. His iron tower-like body walked towards Xiao Chen step by step. In his eyes, Xiao Chen's physique was no more than that of a little chick. Beating him up was a piece of cake. Jing Xiaoquan saw it and was anxious. If Ma Gangmen really started, 10 minutes was enough to beat Xiao Chen until half of his body was paralyzed. At that time, everything would be too late. If something happened to Xiao Chen, how could he explain it to Tang Tang? At that time, he could guarantee it. Wait. Jing Xiaoquan gritted his teeth and made a decision. This decision was for Tang Tang. He could see that Tang Tang was very worried about Xiao Chen, so he didn't want Tang Tang to be sad. I can kneel, but this kneel only represents myself. Jing Xiaoquan's words stunned everyone present. Lu Zhenming was stunned, Missy was stunned, and Xiao Chen himself was stunned. Lu Zhenming really didn't expect that Jing Xiaoquan would compromise for an outsider. What's more, Missy didn't expect that Xiao Chen's popularity was so good. Only Xiao Chen seemed to vaguely understand something. Although Jing Xiaoquan was loyal, it was definitely not to the extent that he would make such a sacrifice for a lunch. All of this might be because of Tang Tang. But regardless of whether it was true or not, Xiao Chen was very grateful and touched. Jing Xiaoquan, the Jing family, he would remember this. He would never forget this favor. When he was at his lowest, when he was just an ordinary person, Jing Xiaoquan helped him. Too late. Now that the duel has begun, it's useless no matter what anyone says. Lu Zhenming was not stupid. Jing Xiaoquan said that this kneeling was only on behalf of himself, which meant that it had nothing to do with the Jing family. Then what was the use of this kneeling? Naturally, Lu Zhenming would not agree. However, in order to prevent Xing Menjing from thinking that he was going back on his words, he used the excuse that the duel had already begun. Thank you. Xiao Chen smiled at Jing Xiaoquan and said, in a while, it's not certain who will kneel and beg for mercy to lick the leather shoes. It's a pity that I'm wearing sneakers today. It's a little difficult to lick them clean. Puff. After listening to Xiao Chen's words, Jing Xiaoquan could not help but feel happy. He did not expect Xiao Chen to be so optimistic. However, he also decided that if Xiao Chen could not do it, he would force himself to stand up for him. Don't say those useless things. Hurry up and start. Lu Zhenming was now looking forward to the scene of Xiao Chen's blood flowing like a river. He could not wait to shout. Boom! A bloodthirsty light flashed in Ma Gangmen's eyes. He punched out fiercely and hit hard at Xiao Chen. Ma Gangmen punched mercilessly. As long as he punched, he would beat Xiao Chen to death. How dare he give Ma Gangmen a nickname? He really did not want to live. Pa. However, after Ma Gangmen punched out, he found that something was wrong. He didn't feel the refreshing feeling of hitting the enemy. Instead, it was like hitting an iron plate. Ma Gangmen took a closer look. His fist was actually caught in Xiao Chen's hand. D*MN, this kid's reaction is quite fast. He can actually block my punch. Ma Gangmen had some underestimation in his heart, but this kid's strength was also quite great. He blocked my punch with his palm. However, Ma Gangmen did not mind. Sometimes, fighting required skills. It was not something that could be achieved with brute force. Previously, when he punched out, he rubbed his palms together. It might have made Xiao Chen take precautions, but it would not happen the next time. Thinking of this, Ma Gangmen suddenly pulled back his fist. He wanted to punch Xiao Chen again, and then give him a left and right combo to see if he could still resist it. However, the next moment, Ma Gangmen was a little anxious because his fist was caught by Xiao Chen's palm. He wanted to pull back, but he could not. Let go of me. Ma Gangmen suddenly increased the strength of his hand. He wanted to pull his fist back, but he found that his fist in Xiao Chen's palm did not move at all. Seeing that his right hand really couldn't be pulled out, Ma Gangmen had no other moves. He could only punch out his left fist. In his opinion, as long as Xiao Chen defended his left fist, he would definitely relax his vigilance. He could also take the opportunity to pull out his right hand. However, the idea was beautiful, but the reality was cruel. When Ma Gangmen's left hand was also caught by Xiao Chen, he found that he was in a tragedy. Both of his hands couldn't move. How could he still fight? Ma Gangmen, what are you playing? Do you think it is a competition of internal force between masters of internal force? Lu Zhenming didn't experience it personally. It was hard to imagine that Ma Gangmen was restrained by Xiao Chen, so he frowned and shouted, "Hurry up and beat him down. Stop playing." However, not far away, Jing Xiaoquan's mouth flashed a smile. This Xiao Chen hit it quite well. Well, it shouldn't be said that he hit it quite well, because Jing Xiaoquan could see that although Xiao Chen was better than Ma Gangmen, Xiao Chen was definitely not a martial artist. He did not use internal force. In other words, he was not even a master of internal force level 1. This showed that Xiao Chen was probably very strong. He was born with divine power. If such a person cultivated internal force, his future would be limitless. Ma Gangmen couldn't say it. If he said that he was restrained by Xiao Chen, wouldn't he be a joke? He was a fighter under Lu Zhenming, but he was actually restrained by a thin transfer student. If this news spread out, not only Ma Gangmen's face would be lost, but also Lu Zhenming's face. Bang! Just when Ma Gangmen was still thinking about how to get out of this predicament, Xiao Chen made his move. To be exact, it was a kick. Xiao Chen kicked Ma Gangmen's crotch. Ma Gangmen let out a loud ouch. His whole body was in so much pain that he jumped up. Then, his forehead became drenched in sweat. Although Xiao Chen was a cultivator at the first level of the refinement stage, he still kept the playboy method of teaching others a lesson. He directly greeted the opponent's most vulnerable place. However, at that time, it was usually Chen Jinpeng who restrained the opponent, and then Xiao Chen would make a move. After kicking Ma Gangmen's penis, Xiao Chen also loosened his hand. Ma Gangmen directly knelt on the ground in pain. He covered his crotch with both hands, and it was so painful that he wanted to die. This scene, except for Jing Xiaoquan, who had expected it, Lu Zhenming, the thin monkey-like man, and Qing Menjing all widened their eyes. Lu Zhenming never thought that the person who knelt on the ground would be Ma Gangmen, and it was so fast. Qing Menjing knew Xiao Chen's means of playing tricks on people. Kicking the enemy's crotch. In the past, Qing Menjing was a little ashamed of this. She felt that Xiao Chen was completely relying on Chen Jinpeng. If she let him fight the enemy by himself, let alone kicking the enemy's crotch, she estimated that he would not even be able to touch the enemy's body. But today, it completely subverted Qing Menjing's cognition. Xiao Chen actually beat Ma Gangmen to the ground? This guy is so powerful. I was worried about him and tried to help him plead. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't have talked so much nonsense with Lu Zhenming. I'm so angry. Xiao Chen, you wait for me. This trick, I learned it. Wait for me to kick your crotch. However, thinking of this, Qing Menjing's face suddenly turned red. Although Lu Zhenming had been paying attention to Ma Gangmen and Xiao Chen, he was also paying attention to Qing Menjing from the corner of his eyes. He saw that Qing Menjing's face turned red after Ma Gangmen was knocked down. He thought that Qing Menjing was excited to see a hot-blooded scene. It turned out that Qing Menjing really liked hot-blooded violence, but it was a pity that the person who was knocked down today was Lu Zhenming's man. In this way, Lu Zhenming's level would probably plummet in Qing Menjing's heart, right? Thinking of this, Lu Zhenming had a burst of irritation for no reason. He shouted at Ma Gangmen, "Are you dead? If you're not dead, get up and beat him up." In fact, there was no need for Lu Zhenming to say this. Ma Gangmen was already furious. When had he suffered so much? He hated it. How was it possible? How could Xiaochen be so powerful? Ma Gangmen endured the pain, put his hands on the ground, and prepared to get up. However, what he didn't expect was that Xiaochen went behind Ma Gangmen and kicked Ma Gangmen's buttocks. Boom! Xiaochen's foot directly kicked Ma Gangmen's anus. Ma Gangmen hadn't gotten up yet. With a ow sound, his whole body flew forward and fell heavily on the floor of the gymnasium. His nose was bleeding, and it flowed everywhere. Wah-ya-ya-ya-ya. Ma Gangmen's anus was almost dislocated by Xiaochen's kick. He struggled on the ground in pain. His eyes were red, and he wanted to kill Xiaochen, but he couldn't get up. Boom! It was another kick. Xiaochen directly stepped on Ma Gangmen's head, and his head, which had just been raised, was directly in close contact with the ground again. This time, not only Ma Gangmen's nose was bleeding, but even his mouth was bleeding. His teeth knocked on his lips. Not only did his lips break, but several teeth were also knocked out. Brother G, oh, no, Brother Si, how do you feel? The sole of Xiaochen's shoe stepped back and forth on Ma Gangmen's face, making Ma Gangmen unable to speak. He could only make woo-woo sounds. You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.